Yeah, sorry, Devi. I only just downloaded the replay code today, so I didn't actually know it was a Hydra until like a half hour ago. Okay. Hello, Lee and Zakai, and Agent 3, and Hannah, and Smidge, and Jules. That's a clever way to spell that, actually. And Jamie, and Ipa, and Hitcha. Headachy, good. Aw, sorry to hear about that part. And Awesome K, and Evans, first time watching stream, welcome. Glad to have you. And hello, Marshall, and Cyborus, and Directrix, Shiny Amethyst, and Unlocked Ocean, and Xmon, and Nexlation, and Raphael, and Yoshi, and Akira, and the Chenzi, and Bransbo, and Bird, and Thiago, and Giona, and Lil Crazy Crafter. Howdy, gamers. Excuse me. So, I haven't warmed up my voice much today, I guess. There is an individual who reserved a VOD review for today. And their tag is FlounderLover24. They are mentioned in the title because while as of 2 weeks ago they were still in the Squid School server, I am unable to DM them. We DM'd before, but something changed. So I'm trying to work to get into contact with FlounderLover24. And if any of you happen to know FlounderLover24, please send them in my direction so that we can get this taken care of. Because I do not have anything to VOD review from them yet, and even if they had sent something earlier in the DM, I would not be able to access it. So I'm going to need FlounderLover24 to accept my friend request in order to be able to make good on their VOD review slot here. But we are going to be joined here by that one crazy Adrestrian dude. Adrestian? I think it's Adrestian. I think it's like a Fire Emblem reference or something. Hold on. Adrestian Empire? Is that Edelgard's? Yeah, okay, right. So, a Black Eagles fan. How's your wrist doing? It's doing well. I'm making sure to stay limber because I am definitely playing a lot, and there are some times where my hands get a little bit tired. So I'm making sure to keep them warmed up and stuff. Okay. But I'm also wearing 2 sweaters and sitting on a blanket to try and keep everything warm because things being a little chilly definitely contributed to it starting to go in the direction of being injured last time. So, should be good. I did get a question in the chat, but I'm trying to scroll to find it. Oh man, and hello everybody else. Oh my goodness, there have been so many people who have hopped in since I stopped greeting people. My friend says the crab tank is overpowered, that it's annoying that the player gets to shoot immediately after the crab is destroyed. Is he right? Is the crab tank overpowered? Crab tank is very strong, but it has some very significant weaknesses too. If you flank the crab tank, it's very difficult for them to do anything about you, because they can't turn around very fast, and they can just get shot from the back. They also are not invincible. For one thing, the crab tank itself has armor, but that armor can be shredded, and end the special before it normally would. Also, you can headshot the player if you're precise enough, even from the front. You might need a little bit of height to make it realistic, but it's definitely a thing. Do you think Inklings are cute and funny? I can agree with that. I only know Flounder Lovers 1 through 23. Dang it. You have a backup VOD from someone else. What I was planning on doing was actually VOD reviewing one of the matches we're going to play in Anarchy Open. We're also going to have a special guest, or maybe two, on the Anarchy Open battles. It is a perk that I have tried to make as clear as I can to YouTube members of a certain tier. I think you hit Excellent Squid Friend or higher. That for one of the Squid School streams, they get to play in the Anarchy Open battles. Because we only ever have 2 VOD reviews. And so up until this point, it's just been like, nepotism. Like, hey, Devi, I know you, you know me. You want to play with us? And that's usually how it's been. But I'm like, what if I just gave that spot to someone for being a YouTube member? And so that's been a perk for like months. And nobody has ever like taken me up on it until now. But we're gonna have the Goddess of Toast is the excellent squid friend in question. But if so they were more interested in actually giving the slot to their son, to a little squid friend. So we're gonna be playing with TG Gideon, who is 6. So we're not gonna put them on comms, but they will be playing with us. And if FlounderLover24 cannot be found, then we'll also have Toast hop in and play with us too. Toast has been a very active member of the community, is a mod, and is also pretty good at the video game. So that's neat. And Devi is super hyped for a Hydra VOD review. Why do you main Splattershot? Because, for one thing, that's a weapon that I have played for a long time in Splatoon 2, and so I'm very used to it and better at it than most weapons. For another thing, it happens to be one of the best weapons in the game right now. It's able to deal with the long-range threats with the Zuka, and short-range shooters are also just very strong. It has a bomb. All good things. Any tips for maining the 52 gal? The ability to play the 52 gal comes from the ability to play the wall well. Using the wall is extremely important. It is where most of your advantage comes from, because the main weapon itself, it's a short-range shooter. It's solid, but it's not the most accurate, reliable weapon. What you make it much more reliable if you play with the wall, because then even if you miss a shot or two, their kill time is still decreased so much by having to shred your wall that it doesn't matter that you missed a shot or two. You can still get your shots on and get the splats. So obviously still work on your aim and everything, but your walls are really, really important. And that's the one part of the weapon that I have never been great at. And it's the reason that I don't play that weapon, even though everything else in my skill set would suggest that it's a great choice for me. Okay. So I'm going to get started with making the lobby here while we wait for our folks to filter into the voice calls here. I'm going to message our folks and get them in there. Oops, I just chose the wrong DM. Oopsie daisies. Okay, there we go. All right. So, that one crazy Adrestian dude is going to be doing some work, but they'll be lurking in the VC for the time being. So we will definitely have room for both Toast and TG Gideon here. Toast is now in the VC. They are going to be muted, so we will not be hearing them. But I will DM them the password for the room that I am about to make. But first, we are going to hide the password with the help of a good friend of ours named Oatmeal. And then okay. Now I have messaged Toast the password. So we should be getting them in. And then need to be a certain rank to play on stream? Absolutely not. I would bring someone on for a VOD review day one of them ever playing the game. Anyone who's willing to learn. Okay. And Soliart has offered to join us in the 4th slot because I believe we are one short without FlounderLover24. So I'll bring them in as well.
Hello.
Hello, Soli.
Thank you for replying.
Absolutely. And we now have that one crazy Adrestian dude in our VC as well. They're going to be muted, and they're going to be doing some work until it's time for their VOD review to come up, but happy that they could make it.
Cool.
So the room is up, and I believe I've sent you the password, Soli, so you can hop in here when you're ready.
Oh, I see. The usual one. Always going with 1111.
Yep. We're like that. Whatever. I care more about having the iconic headband than I do about the actual gear attached to it for the moment.
I should probably switch to a weapon I know how to use.
Yeah, you said it was a good blob map, right? So I mean,
yeah, these are
it'd be a
great
shame if
blobbers.
you wouldn't blob on the
I
good
will
blob
blob.
map.
Don't forget
will.
to take the cat off.
But we like the cat. Yeah, I'll take the cat off.
I know everybody likes the cat, but people also want to see content.
Oh, Toast and I were playing earlier, open with someone who was new to Splatoon 3, and they were doing really, really well. We were winning like the majority of the games.
Awesome.
It was really cool.
Videos
Yeah,
help
it
me
was
get
a
out
very
of B- to A+ in a few days. Thank you. Oh, I appreciate that. I'm glad that you're finding them helpful. Oosh,
I don't wanna-
I don't. That's a funny name. I like that.
Jem, we're all waiting for you at this point, I think.
No, we're not. What are you talking about? All right. What do you think of Sploosh-O-Matic? The main weapon definitely has potential, but I think it needs a different kit than it's got right now. No, bring cat back.
I'll eat when I'm done. What? I said I'll eat when I'm done.
Two on right zone. Should be able to get one
Yeah,
of them.
they dropped down by accident, I'm pretty sure.
Got one of them. Another one on me, Junior. They're down. All right. That's zone. Good stuff.
Oh, watch out for reslider.
It's just the one. Nice.
Yeah, I know. I almost got caught by it because I was in the little narrow area.
Got one. There's one on right zone, and there's a jump into it.
Alright.
Well, they died on zone, so I guess that's that. Nice. Oh. That's one. There's one on... There, we got it.
Coming to support you, Jim.
I got a splat there
Oh, I got
that's
there.
not registering. I think there's a DC, yeah.
Yep.
Rip.
Such a staple game.
Who did we lose?
Me.
Oh.
Sorry.
All good, all good. I splatted someone, and the indicator just did not show up.
Did they go down on the other team too?
I don't know what happened.
Oh. Okay.
I am going to bring oatmeal back. And then we'll put the same password in that we did. No, we messed up and accidentally put the wrong password. We're going to put the same password that we did before. And then... Yes, more cat.
Oh, so everybody got dropped. I thought it was just me.
Yeah, there was a communication error there. So it might have been like me. It might have been a host DC. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Got a lot of oatmeal fans in the chat. Away for 10 seconds. Yeah, there was a disconnect, Sam, is Bagel.
You know, Jem, I have a question that I can't find the answer to. You might know this. When you're doing the rank up battles, right? So like today I was doing rank up battles for S into S+. Does it match you with... Oh, wait, it doesn't even match you based on your rank anyway, so never mind.
Yeah, it doesn't, which is silly.
Okay. What? Okay. No, because
Sorry, I
I've
didn't mean to
noticed
cut you
that I was playing and I had a bunch of people in my lobbies who had the S+ badges. So, and I wasn't in, and you know, like I have one more match to do before I get to the S+. So it's just weird, like seeing like people in a different rank than you. That's all.
Yeah, that part doesn't make a lot of sense. What does gem stand for? It's a word. It is an English word in the language. What rank am I in? I think I'm in S+11 right now.
Oh wow, good job.
Thank you.
I've been taking my time. I mostly just play open.
I was talking to my friends about kits for the Sploosh. Oh yeah, the Sploosh 7 kit in Splatoon 2 was one of the best Rainmaker weapons in the entire game. Like, the Sploosh has potential. It just needs a kit that supports it. Because it needs something where it can poke from range with, and it doesn't have that right now. Never understood why comm errors counted as losses. Because if they didn't count as losses, you could just disconnect out of a losing game and abuse that to never take a loss. Manipulate your ranking that way. So they need to make it so that it errs on the side of punishing you for doing so to discourage that behavior. Got one. I'm behind them. There's another one on zone. Right zone. Nice, got him. Just the roller, which is on me. Got them.
Working on capping. Okay, there we go.
I'm down on left. The reslidering.
Yep. There's two over there on the left. Hiding behind pillow.
Got the cornered ones. One on our zone. Left zone. I don't really know which one's ours and which one's theirs.
That one.
Honestly.
Oh, got two. Okay.
Nice.
You gotta love the accidental kills.
They're trying to come out top left.
Alright,
One dropped. They're coming
sit
right.
on top of the glass and try to keep them from being able to approach. I think one of them got behind us. They're in our
Got
zone.
two. Whoever hit that point sensor, I think that hit every single player on their team. That was sick.
Mm. Who has point sensors? Oh, it might be Wavebreaker.
Did Toast place? Oh, it might have been Wavebreaker. That's right. I was gonna say, like, was that a single ink mine? Like, I don't think so, but yeah, it had to be Wavebreaker. They just walked through the Wavebreaker.
Hmm. Oops, I did not mean to drop. Jem, where are you right now? Are you up? Are you?
Behind
oh,
them.
you're. Okay. Dude. Well, I avenged you, Toast. They're trying to go up to their glass.
Yep. They've got a crab up there.
Alright, well, I'm gonna back off because I don't handle crabs very well.
On my ouch is Pro, I think.
Watch out for missiles. Oh, I backed up into
Where's you down on right?
I should have went under glass. Oh well.
I'm being chased on right. There are two there, at least. Three, maybe.
Yeah, they're hiding at this point. I can't find it. I don't see them. Ooh, reflatter. Ah, shoot.
close to Zuka.
We just farm for
Got it.
specials before feeding in instead of feeding. Rain.
One pushing right. I hit him twice.
I'm gonna try to rain across both zones.
Nah. Shouldn't have challenged that. Just keep it neutral if we can.
Trying,
Focus one
trying.
zone. Yeah, it's fine that we lose lead. Don't worry too much about that. As long as you just don't lose the game.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna get reef slidered. I'm down.
Alright. Oh. Shoot.
All good, all good.
I wonder what happened. It felt like we had a lot of control in the beginning.
Hard to say. Did I miss the VOD review? No. We always do 7 rounds of Anarchy Open before we get started. Once League battles come out, we'll do League until we get Power, which should be 7 games, like it was in Splatoon 2. But right now we've got Anarchy Open, so we just play 7 of those. And then from there, we start around like 45 minutes into the stream, because that's about when we've hit like the typical peak numbers that we're going to have. Make sure that nobody misses it.
Hey, Jem, if anyone else asks what Jem stands for, you can just say you're a greatly educated man. It works.
I suppose, but it is a reference to the precious stone.
Not in Squid School.
One on right. Got him. There's 2 on right. I think I
One's
got
about
this.
to flank on the left.
There's only the one on left.
Oh, I'm out of ink. This is bad.
I got this. They're reef slidering into nothing.
Okay. Thank you. I ran out of ink. Oh, another one coming in.
Not anymore. Oh, hello. Got one. Another. One on their hut.
I think it's a little safer to move forward now, yeah.
They got me. We're 2 down, be careful.
Yep. I'm playing safer. Backing up. Don't jump to me, by the way.
Yeah, I wasn't planning on it. Oh, that's an arrow spray.
Yeah.
Goodbye, arrow spray.
They all kind of moved up on me at once.
There's one on the left, it's Expo,
Oh, crap.
rushing them.
Yeah.
Got him.
I have
Oh,
rain.
what's going on? That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
let me know if you want to. Are you gonna push? I'm raining, so you can try to get picked. One's coming in on the right.
Yep.
Arrow spray.
They got
I'm
me.
down.
Where did that flank come in from? We had the right side painted. What happened there? Okay.
Oof, I'm being heavily pressured. I'm
Got
about to go down.
one. I'm down to the others. They focused me right. Alright, nice try, nice try.
Mm.
Us
Again,
Again,
we have
talk
like-
a lot in class. Is that okay? You know, normally no, but the thing is, when you guys talk in class, it doesn't make it so that the people can't hear us. It's one of the wonderful things about online school. Aerospray is viable? Okay, get out of here. Stop. That's a lunch detention right there.
The Arrow Slayer. Arrow Slay.
Oh my god. The last thing that we need in this chat is the yassification of the Aerospray. Please no.
If you play Aerospray in ranked above A, that's a war crime.
That's a very interesting something.
That's a bold claim there. No, you play whatever y'all want to play. I'll just make fun of you for it.
I'm gonna rain zone. Yeah, we have a attempted flank on the right, or left rather.
Alright. I'm gonna try and get zone before I worry about that.
I know. I'll just let you know.
Yeah, all good, all good.
Oh my god, that was so close. Why can't we capture? They can't
Got
paint.
one. One on left. Blaster. The jump is probably dead. Blaster pushing in on left.
Oh my gosh, I could not paint zone fast enough.
Yeah, it's a numbers advantage thing. Undercover to X when? X doesn't even exist, Levin. Doesn't exist. It's not there. If you want to play Reflux and spam missiles, again, this is acceptable. You will simply open yourself up to the ire of others. Well, that was an interesting sound. That was, if you all heard that, like, farting sound on the desk, that was my phone vibrating on top of a metal key.
Phone farts.
Yeah.
This is not going to be a fun match.
Create a new Splatoon 2 profile? Oh my god. There's nobody watching that category. No shot anybody's watching it.
Missiles.
They have two refluxes. We should expect a lot of those.
Yeah, and they also have the Flingza too.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh my gosh.
Splatoon 2 flashbacks, anyone?
I wish we got the other map where we could at least hide under glass.
Woo. Is this a Drestian dude who's popping in?
Not sure.
Got one. Alright, nice. One of them.
Now, if we can just keep them dead so much that they can't missile.
We're so close to cap. Got one. There we go.
Oh my gosh.
Crush on me, I'm down.
Oh, I backed up into someone else's missiles.
Nice.
Oh, beautiful.
I got a couple. Should be able to hold zone for that.
Alright.
Watch out, flank right, flank right.
Oh god, oh god. Sorry, I was dodging missiles.
Yeah, all good, all good.
Very obnoxious comp.
Got one. Got another.
Nice.
Okay, there we go.
Nice. Alright. The only problem with moving forward is we're giving them more stuff to paint to get missiles.
Yeah, that's a lot of
Trade. Some missiles.
Nice. Watch out for missiles. Oh dear.
Yeah, I keep running underneath the tent to stay safe.
I think we just get capped here. Oh, we
Ow.
were close, we were close.
Ah,
Well, I just jumped right into
Hey.
that. That'll be game.
what a toxic comp.
Welcome, Umbreon Senju. Good to have you. Measles. We caught the measles.
Aside from the problems that missiles cause competitively, they're also just not fun to play against.
Yeah. Alright. Let's see. We'll probably do one more and then we'll get started with our VOD reviews here.
Sounds good.
Unfortunately, there appears to be no word from FlounderLover24.
Oh. Maybe something came up in real life.
Yeah. Who knows?
Splash is coming up into our base.
Okay.
I'm not sure if they're still
I've been
here.
spotted out on the flank. Yep, and they were looking for it too. They might have
Splash is
call-outs.
still here. They're weak. Traded.
One on me left.
Oh my god, right behind me. Okay. Come on, climb. Climb up. I dare you. Never mind. I'm down. Big splasher.
Ooh, that jump is dead.
Oh, crap tank.
That was a more
That was-
experienced team than the ones we've been playing so far.
They were very aggressive.
Like, when I went for a flank on the right, and the Explo saw it and started pushing me away. So I retreated, and then they sent the dually squelchers around to splat me from there. So clearly they were letting each other know what was going on there.
Well, good effort. Alright, thanks for letting me play, Gem.
We can probably do one more. That was a short one.
Oh, okay.
See if we can end on a win.
Mm.
We might still not, but I mean, hey, it's a better chance than the 0% we got now.
True.
Alright, here we go. Need a new person to VOD review. I am pretty bad and make lots of mistakes and bad habits, and I have $10. Well, you're in the perfect position to reserve a VOD review on Metafy. It sounds like you're trying to like transition me into like an ad for my own Metafy because of how well that worked. But yeah, like feel free to just reach out from there. That's exactly what that's for.
Flanks on the right.
Yeah,
Oh, you probably.
they're close. They got him.
Ah, crap. I'm in the rain zone.
Aw, man, they were sitting ducks and I missed every single shot. Big sad. Crab on zone. I'm gonna flank right.
Shoot, 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 shoot. Oh my god.
Crab is down.
Oh, they were trying to flank on the left. Two of them. They got me.
Got Booyah Bomber. Oh, another one on zone. They're backing. I'm backing up.
Okay. Wow, that was a surprisingly unsuccessful push of theirs. I thought they were going
Got
to do
two.
that.
One more on their hut. It's Hydra.
Yeah, I see it. Oh, you call it HUD.
96 down. Got him. Got Hydra.
Alright, I don't want to hang out in zone too much in case I go down.
52 weeks. Got or 96. Got him.
I have rain. I'm going to hold it in case they
Let's
try
game.
to push. Never mind, we're good.
All right, there we go. Ended on a win.
Beautiful.
Definitely
All
worth.
right.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for playing.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Not bad. So we have a replay code that we're going to be looking at for that crazy Adrestian dude. So Adrestian dude, if you are available, we could start your VOD review now, or if you need a little more time, we could take a pause on that real quick. I have a message to attend to, so let me get that real quick. Okay. Someone was asking for the kind of rank playlist. We can definitely grab that real quick. There is a playlist on the channel. So it's one of the, like, you just go to the main page, and it's like three things down on the main page. But I'll drop that off for y'all. Yeah, and that would make a good, yeah. My mods are making good points. They're wise and cherished individuals. Okay. All right, it looks like Adrestian Dude is not ready yet. So I think what we'll do for now is just go to some Q&A, because I've been seeing a lot of questions in chat, and it's been a while since I have taken the time to go and just sit and answer a bunch of them. So while we wait for our VOD reviewee to make it back, oops, let's go here. And these are the matches we just played, and then it should be this one. Yes, this is it. Okay. So we'll get this ready to go, but then we will do some Q&A while we wait. Alrighty. So we'll get to admire this lovely artwork. It looks like the.
Can you put the Discord view on? Then I can watch too.
Well, I'm. There's not that much that's going on screen right now, but sure. Might as well get that set up while we're waiting. A projector and there. Okay.
Thanks.
Yep. I'll scooch that elsewhere and then click here. All right. So, picking up where I left off in chat. Been watching your content on YouTube for a while, but finally got around to catching you on Twitch. Hope you're having a good day. Thank you, JD Splat. I hope you are too. Oatmeal is greater than Romeo. Dang. All right, all right. Pitting the two cats against each other. They're both wonderful, all right? Did you catch what said about FlounderLove? Yeah, I mean, if they got banned from the Discord and that's true, then so be it. I don't think that the individual who was talking about that was the same person as who was DMing me before. But, is there a difference between anchors and supports, and if so, what do the individual roles do? Yes. I talk about that in the video that I posted called What Am I Doing? Part 1 Weapon Roles, It's the very first video you would see on the homepage of the channel. But the anchor is a long-ranged weapon. That's the key thing about them. They can take different positions than everybody else does because they can still have an impact even though they're further away than everybody else. I have a very important question. How is your kitty? My kitty's doing real good. He's snoozing on my bed right now. He looked very content. Any specials you'd recommend for backline anchor weapons? I mean, you have a limited set of options given the weapon pool. The best special in the game, especially for an anchor weapon, is going to be missiles, which is painful, but I mean, it's really good, and they're best used from further back. Booyah Bomb is also excellent, so Hydra getting it is a huge deal for it. Yeah, those are the top 2 specials in the game just in general. What weapons are best in a comp for Tri-Stringer? Probably something that can follow up on chip damage. So you'd want, I don't know, maybe like a kind of slosher maybe would help with it. Something that does a lot of damage, like a 52 or 96. I mean, the kit doesn't complement it super well. But what it's getting you is a lot of chip damage. And so something that has burst bombs, something that hits around walls, like blasters, like sloshers, they're going to be able to combo with that damage and get more picks from very safe positions. If you could rework Tenta missiles, what would you change? Remove them from the game. But if they had to stay in the game, I would just nerf them to the point where they're not as good anymore. What brand of cat food does Romeo eat, and what is his favorite shape? So they are all the same shape because he eats a specific prescription brand so that he doesn't block. He's blocked a couple of times before, and this is the first food that he's had where he's lasted this long without blocking. So it's a medicinal diet. Are there any weapons you're pretty good at but don't particularly enjoy playing? I mean, I played a lot of weapons in Splatoon 2 that could be considered supportive, like a zap or something, and that's not my preferred playstyle. But anything that I got particularly good at was something that I played a lot, and I only played it a lot if I wanted to play it. Struggle to use things like Splash and Splattershot. How do I deal with that? Those weapons do aim differently. Like with the Squeezer and the Chargers, you want to be making sure that every single shot lands. With the shooters, you can aim a little bit more predictively. You've also got a lot less range, so the aiming is going to feel different too. Because a Squeezer and a Charger, they're not going to have to move left and right very far to be able to hit stuff. But the splatter shots might have to just do a 180. Also, thank you so much for becoming a member, Nextlation. I appreciate that. For those who don't know, I am a full-time content creator, and any of that kind of support really goes a long way towards helping me do this in the long term. So, thank you. Thoughts on Respawn Punisher? Been running it with Charger recently. So, Respawn Punisher makes a lot of sense if you've got a KD ratio of about 3-to-1 or higher, I would say. Anything below that, and it's not going to be good for you. And you can't expect to have that at a top level unless you're playing certain weapons. So E-leaders, for example, will do that a lot because the E-leader just shouldn't be going down very often. More often, they're going to get forced away from the fight rather than splatted. So it makes a lot of sense for them because they're just going to not ever engage anybody from a fair distance. What is Romeo's favorite toy and what is Romeo's favorite sleeping spot? recently his favorite toy has been this little orange Super Ball that I got from it's a Low Tide City, which was a tournament that I went to for Splatoon. I commentated there too. And we went to the little arcade thing, and that was something that we cashed out our tickets for. And when you like roll it under the kitchen table with all the chair legs and the table legs, it bounces around and it moves around unpredictably, and the floor's not perfectly even, so it'll just like keep rolling and keep bouncing off things, and like it keeps his attention for a good long time, especially since it makes noise while it does that. And then favorite sleeping spot is on me. On top of me. That is usually what it is. Do you get revenue from people with YouTube Premium watching your streams live on YouTube? I do not know how that works. I imagine with YouTube Premium, like they're paying money to not have the ads. So I guess that money goes towards, like, it goes to the same place that the ad revenue will, I guess, with a cut for YouTube. That's my guess. I couldn't tell you exactly how that works. Would move to watching on YouTube if it was of greater benefit to you. Appreciate your work. Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, if you're really trying to min-max it to support me the most, the call is probably just to have both Twitch and YouTube open and to mute one of the tabs. Because it would count you as two separate viewers, I would think. But YouTube is the one where, like, the ad revenue and everything is more significant for me, and that's why I don't have affiliate status on Twitch right now. So I don't have Twitch subs, I don't have any of that sort of stuff, I don't have channel points. The reason for that is not that I can't get it, because affiliate status, like, I could be probably 1/30th of the size that I am right now and still easily hit affiliate. But I don't do that because it would prevent me from streaming to YouTube and Twitch simultaneously. Oy vey. Are there any really top-level Hydra players that stream frequently? Top level, I don't see a lot of people running Hydra right now. I'm generally seeing anchor players play either one of the Chargers, so Charger E-Leader, or Explo. But just below that level, like, it's seeing a lot of use. So, let's see. I know Mothman was playing it. Mothman's around Devi and I's level. I don't know how much Mothman streams, but Devi definitely streams. So there's a start. Devi is Div 3, so fairly close to the top level, but not there yet. I don't know about players. Yes, Devi?
I said it's a goal. We're getting there. So
Yeah. It'll get there for sure. But do you know of any Devi that stream off the top of your head? Any other Hydra cult members?
I really haven't. I've been looking, and not a lot of them are taking Hydra because a lot are prioritizing the Chargers right now, or just going full on meta with like Double Machine and other things, or E-Leader. But not a lot are really pulling out the Hydra right now. So you'll see it more in mid-level than the high level. There's definitely at least 3 or 4 mid-level Hydra players that sometimes stream. I was gonna what is it? Popgun's another one that would be at, but I don't think he really streams display too much. So.
And he was playing Ballpoint last I saw.
Yeah. It's just you don't see too many nowadays, especially ones that stream. So. That's why a lot of people end up just like, hey, Debbie streams, go to her. You'll see. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'll demonstrate what I have. But yeah, there's at least 3 or 4 that you'll find in mid-level. But in top level, they're very rare at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for the membership, by the way, Kristen the Frog. I really appreciate that. And I'll make sure after the stream to get y'all your bribe to the teacher roles in the Discord server. Cat Sky, tips for a Ballpoint. Ballpoint is a very versatile splatling. It's something that can play similar to a mini splatling and similar to a Hydra splatling and anything in between based on how it uses its charge. It's something where it's mechanically a lot different than the other splatlings because you can just kind of keep your long range shots going for as long as you want to. So using that like continuous stream of fire is something that you want to consider working into your play that you can't do with any other splatling. And you also have a very weird kit to work with. So figuring out when you want to be throwing fizzies versus when you want to be firing the main weapon is one thing. Generally, my answer for when you'd want to be doing that is whether you have line of sight, because fizzies are good for taking somebody from out of line of sight, whereas the shots are line of sight. And inkjetting is definitely niche for that weapon because it wants to stay so far back most of the time. But it can be good for ambushing an enemy backliner if they're not expecting it. What do you do to make angle shooter, sprinkler, and toxic mist better? Sprinkler needs to paint more and more consistently, and probably like do more consistent damage. Just more sprinkler shots, I think, would make that a lot stronger. Angle shooter, legit, make it 5 times as long range, make it basically global, and make it just like bounce like crazy until it has gone all the way through that global range, and make every single line of it do 10 damage. And then we're getting somewhere. Then that could be really fun and really stupid. I would. It might be broken, I don't know, but I would enjoy it while it was there. And then toxic mist. A little bit of damage over time couldn't hurt. What should you use for splat zones? Something that paints, otherwise, whatever you want. Even if you have something that doesn't paint, if the rest of the comp paints, you're still fine. Any tips on dapple doolies as a support weapon? I guess if you're using it as a support weapon, you probably want some sub power-ups so that you can make the super jumps to beacons faster. And my personal opinion is that if you're going to run a tactical or you want to run an NZAP, because it's a weapon that's more capable of fighting, has better range, paints better, will get the special faster. And yes, you're sacrificing the beacons for that, but on the maps being the way that they are, there's only so much value I think you get out of beacons. Like, a lot of the time, as if someone has control of that part of the map, they're just going to clear the beacons as they go. So I personally don't think that the apples are especially strong, but as a support weapon, I don't know, you paint, you get your tacticooler, and then you feed. And then you jump back to a beacon, and you feed again. That seems like the kind of play style with the dapples. Oh, yeah, Splatoon gameplay. Yes, exactly. See, we have this nice image of Splatoon gameplay on screen right now. Do you think Bomb Rush Launcher no longer being a thing was a net positive for the game overall? I think that special was boring to use. I did not find it, like, the most interesting thing. It was like... So I'm glad that it's not there just because I didn't think it was that fun to play. Game balance aside, I think it was fine for game balance. Just... I don't know. I think everything else is a little bit more spectacular as a special. So. Anyone know ways to not instantly get splatted using Ultra Stamp? Throw it. I hate to say it, but that is actually the answer to that question. The mini splatling right now, people who are trying to push it, what they're doing is they're farming the special, throwing it immediately so they can farm another one and throw it too. They're just using it as like a discount Trizooka. Did you say it's the same with the Squeezer and its wall? The Squeezer is a lot less dependent on its wall because the Squeezer has a lot more range. Squeezer can actually shark a long-ranged weapon. It can, like, sit further back than you think you're about to be contested by, and then just pop up and tap, 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 and the player is down from, like, a quarter of the map away. That's something that the Squeezer does. It is really not dependent on its wall at all, and in fact, it probably wanted a bomb instead of the wall just because it doesn't need the wall. It's so unnecessary.
Hey, Gem.
Hmm?
What role is the Squeezer technically?
The Squeezer is one of the most versatile weapons in the game. Also, that was crazy addressed to you, dude. Are you available for the VOD review now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. We can get started with that then. And then we'll get back to some more questions
waiting
later.
for me.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
boy.
I didn't hear you saying anything, and when I asked, so I was like, okay, they're probably still working. But yeah, we can get started on that. And I'm screen sharing in the Discord call, so you can tune into that, and then you'll see without stream delay what I'm talking about.
All right.
But to answer
Also
the question
very
about
glad to meet a
Squeezer,
Hydra member.
Squeezer can do just about everything. It has the range to be a pseudo anchor. It has the slaying capability to go in and finish off splats. It can skirmish with its wall and with its range in general. It is really a very versatile weapon. There are very few weapons that you can play in as many different ways as you can play a Squeezer. But generally, it's like I said, that sharking play style where you sit further out than someone expects to have to worry about an opposing player, and you delete someone before they know what hit them. So I'm going to really quickly skim through to make sure there aren't any other questions, but how good do you have to be to start competitive? The answer is, how long do you play competitive before you get good? It's the other way around. Start now and then be good later. Thoughts on thermal ink and how good is Romeo? I don't think a lot about thermal ink because it's just not something that my weapon is going to be good for, but it's useful on weapons that do a lot of damage without getting kills, like the Bloblobber or something. And Romeo is about 5. Had a rough day, but your streams always bring the good vibes. Oh, I'm sorry about your day, Fevev, but I'm glad that you're enjoying yourself here. Okay. Why would someone put intensify action on dualies? I see it on some Tetra builds, and I've just been curious. I have no idea why you would want to do that, frankly. Maybe they want to squid roll better, but like, I don't think it's useful for that. I don't think that's the reason you run intensify action. What should you use for splat zones? I think I answered that one already, but something that paints a lot. Do you ever play Salmon Run? Very rarely, but I do. It's very cool. Just I prefer other ways to play. Some good utility support weapons right now. That's going to be Junior and Splash probably. Anybody streams Tri-Stringer? I know Nicolini was doing that. They've got a stream that's still up, last I checked. What multiplayer shooter would you recommend for fans of Splatoon? It's very unique in this regard, but I mean, a lot of people choose the game for the aesthetic, and I think Overwatch is one of the closest to it, even though Overwatch has been terribly mismanaged lately due to the Blizzard things. Ugh. Blizzard deserves everything that it is getting. Kensa or Tenatech Splatter Shop in 2. Prefer the Tenatech, but the Kensa tended to be more useful, so I ended up playing them about equally. Tips on how to play Explosher and any streamers use it. Brian the Drummer is probably one of your top ones to watch for that. Brian is a top European player. Kix also plays it. So you could watch Kix too. Kix isn't, top level, but would at least give you some ideas. Do you ever host private lobbies for your students? I've done that occasionally. I honestly don't like doing it too much because I feel like I'm preventing people from playing with me by only having 10 people in the lobby. It's like I'm making them wait in line for so long. It's like an amusement park ride. I don't get why people go on roller coasters when they have to wait 3 hours for a 1-minute ride. Can I have your cat? No. And I think, why would you run IA anyway? For Jump RNG. Is Inkstorm a bad special? It's not bad, it's just not the best. The reason it's not the best is that you can't spam it as well because you farming it before... You can't farm it like while it's out. So there's like 8 seconds where you're just not getting special charge. If you don't jump into your weapon a lot, is there a reason to run Intensify Action? No. And there isn't even a reason to run it if your weapon has perfect accuracy. Like, if you have a Splash-O-Matic or a Charger, literally no reason, I think. Oh yeah, TF2 is also a lot of fun. Highly recommend. It's just not been in the best shape because it's on the back burner for Valve. Okay, VOD review time. So we're playing Clam Blitz Museum on the Hydra. And, ooh, this... So, looking at the comps, you don't have a backliner you gotta worry about. So you can bully them. You can just stand right up here and be like, no, you do not get to advance. I don't have an E-leader who's gonna make me move. Nyeh. The only thing that you have to worry about in terms of, like, being approached and threatened is the crab tank, and maybe if someone gets really close with, like, the tent shield or the big bubbler. Or, like, if they just run at you and your teammates don't stop them or something, or you can't splat all of them. But you're in a really good shape here in terms of comp, because you don't have an E-leader staring at you. So, this is a good start. Alright, so it looks like you get a little bit thrown by the splash in the ink. You thought they went left and they actually went right. So, happens. But you spot them there, and you even though you didn't splat them, they had to run away, and you're still perfectly safe. So, this is still a positive outcome. You can now see that... Here, let me actually get this. Is there a way for me to doodle on this that will show up on stream? I don't know if that's a thing I can do. Yeah, that's probably not a thing I can do, unfortunately. Because Epic Pen... Yeah, I think it'll cause an infinite loop on OBS if I try to do that. Shoot. But, so, there is a player on the right side of zone that is moving up to the pillar in top mid. So right here, we can see them standing up, just about to unsquid. It looks like some kind of short-ranged weapon. It's right below the right side arm of top mid. Can you see it there? Addressing?
Yes. Yes,
yeah.
I can.
So that player is going up to top mid. Did you spot them as they were going?
Yeah, I did, but I wasn't charged enough to try and pressure them out.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's something where, like, you see them coming soon enough. You can probably get enough charge to at least, like, pre-fire that spot when you expect them to show up, and that will probably be a threat to them. But all good still. Nothing catastrophic has happened.
Can I make another suggestion?
Yes, Devi?
We have auto bombs. You can throw a chicken on top mid and it'll chase the person back, or it'll stay up on top because that person is right there. So it'll deny that way or push them back. Then you can just kind of move over, get a little bit of ink. And by that point in time, you should have half charge or close to full to be able to prevent them from going up again.
Yeah, that's a really nice addition to the Hydra's kit, having a lethal bomb it can poke with like that. Alright, so you get one, and then it looks like you were popping the Booyah just in case that fight ended up going badly, but you ended up winning it, you pop it, and now at this point, your team has pushed way through mid, and it looks like they don't really fully have control of the enemy plat, but they're on their way to try and score. So one of the nice things is that your special has global range, and so you can just, like, throw this wherever you want to. See if you can throw this over onto the enemy plat and, yeah, force them towards your teammates or something. Nicely done. Okay. From here, you definitely want to be moving forward onto top mid, because from here you can't shoot any of the opponents that are going to be coming out and trying to stop this push. It's really important that whenever your team pushes far enough up that you don't have range to hit anything, you move so that you have range to hit something again. Because from right here, you're not really having an impact on the match anymore. Your team is basically in a 3v4 while you're back here. if you're going to try and score that, you want to be getting that to the basket sooner than later. You don't want to be like backtracking like you are right now. You want to be getting up over top mid and jumping across, or you want to be going into their base from the right-hand side. Having a power clam but not trying to score it in this situation is not providing a lot of value. All it's going to do is reveal you, and it's going to give you maybe a slightly increased chance of scoring later, but them knowing where you are is probably a bigger deal than that. And since they already had the basket open, might as well have tried to like super jump it in and try and score it, or jump it across or something and try and score it instead of swimming around backwards.
There's also a teammate up there. You can just pass the clam up from down below where that box is.
Yeah, give them
I
the
know I do
alley-oop.
that a lot to my teammates.
Because a lot of the time what'll happen, especially in solo queue where people don't know how to maintain the clam blitz push, is they'll throw all of their clams in at once and then not have any more to follow up with. And so even with just individual clams, if you were to chuck them up onto the ledge right where your teammates are fighting, they could be like, oh, hey, wait, there are clams here, cool. And they can score those for you too. But this move to the right side of the enemy plat is mistimed, because the basket is already closed. So for the next 10 seconds, that basket is inaccessible anyway. So even if your team had like perfect control over the enemy basket, you would still be standing there awkwardly waiting, and the entire enemy team would have time to spawn before you could score it again. So you either want to not make this power clam and wait for the next push, or you want to make it and get it scored on the first push instead of having to wait for the second one.
Got it.
Yeah, it was getting a little bit hairy there, so dropping back might not be the worst idea. So here, there was another player that was coming up to top mid, and this time you definitely did have enough charge to at least spray some shots over the top of it. And that would probably help Amphi a lot. Prevent them from having to deal with that. Taking some shots at that player there. What I'm seeing here is there's a little bit of wave aiming. Do you know what I mean when I say that?
Not really, no.
Okay. So we're at 3:30 here. I'm gonna drop out of the replay and do a demonstration in the lobby really quick. So this is something that it's going to take time to unlearn, but what happens a lot when people are still, getting used to the motion aim and the motion controls is they will start with their aim off the target, start firing, realize they're missing, and start to move their aim and over adjust. And they kind of go back and forth doing this sort of thing. And with weapons that have a high fire rate, like the short-range shooters, like the splatlings, this will hit at least some shots. And so, it's better than nothing. But it also creates the bad habit of overshooting the target. So one of the drills that I always do while I'm aiming is to practice snapping straight to the target and stopping on top of it. So instead of doing this and having to readjust in the middle of it and go back and forth like that, I'm going straight to it and stopping, dead on the target. That's something to, gradually get used to doing. See, there I overshot, and so whenever you do practice it and you overshoot by mistake, slow down so that you get it perfect this time. So even if you're starting and just doing this sort of thing and going that slowly, that's better than trying to go fast and wiggling around and doing all this sort of stuff and not really having your aim on the whole time. So in your aim drills, I would definitely recommend, just, while you're in between matches, waiting for stuff, something that you can do to help you practice is to, get back at a distance with the Hydra where you'd be aiming from and do this sort of thing, going from target to target, just keeping your reticle directly on. That time I overshot, so I want to slow down a little bit from where I was. Still overshot, slowing down a little more. And just do this thing until you're pretty consistent with it, and then you can start speeding it up. That way, because what happens when you wave aim too much is you spend a lot of time and fire a lot of shots not actually hitting anything, And in extreme cases, especially with a splatling, that can lead to something like you running out of ink or you just not hitting enough shots before you run out of charge. And then you're out of luck. So that, like, this sort of situation that I'm in right here, like, that can definitely lead to me getting splatted. That can lead to me running out of ink and having to back up. Where instead I could just be snap to it, hit the shot. Snap to it, hit the shots. Like I said, that's going to take a long time to develop. But that's something that I like to be thinking about, to be working towards. When you do, like, just sit in the lobby because you have nothing better to do, you might as well be practicing your aim. And that would be how I would recommend to do it at first. Okay, and of course we have to wait through the entire cutscene, but then I can actually start changing the bar. So here we are. Okay, I need to back up a little bit because I'm not sure what the context was for how we got here. Another thing that I didn't even think about with wave aiming is that you're spending a long time aiming at that one player. And what's happening in the meantime is your teammates are getting splatted. So you're now in a 2v4. And so at a certain point, if you're missing a bunch of shots, if they're getting in range, that sort of thing, you probably want to consider repositioning. Because you're starting to get flanked here, and there isn't a lot else for the opponents to be looking at. With that particular retreat, you know what? I think I will actually break out Epic Pen here for a second. So give me just a second to set something up, because there's a concept that I want to explain that I use to analyze the modes a lot, called the objective line, that I think is really helpful for illustrating why retreating in the direction that you retreated is actually the opposite of where you want to go. So let me really quickly just pull up these overheads. Museum and Clam Blitz was the last one. Here we go. And then we should be able to go to here. It'll be black for a second, and then it should show the map of Museum, which it does. Pog. And now I should be able to doodle on that map. Yes, good, good. Okay, and you can see the doodling, I trust.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. So I like to analyze map modes with a concept that I call the objective line. This is a line which shows the path that you're going to take to get from your end of the map. So in this case, we're going to start from our Clam goals to get to the other end of the map. The reason that I use this is because it illustrates where you want to be retreating when you're on defense and where you want to be pushing when you're on offense. So on Clam Blitz, it's going to be a line that's drawn between the two goals. So I could just do this, but that's not realistic because that's not a direction that you're really going to actually move across the map. What's more realistic is you come out from here, you get to your plat, you make sure you have control of plat first, and then you're either going to go this way or you're going to just drop straight down. So I'm just going to illustrate that by doing this. And then from here, you only have two options to get to the enemy basket. And this one is really exposed. If you try to take your entire team that way, they're just going to get pre-fired by a bunch of players and they're going to get splatted. So you want the main body of your push to either be coming through mid across the spinner when you can help it. It's faster, it's not necessarily safer, or the safest way is to go around this way. So what you're probably going to have as your objective line is something like this. And that's going to be symmetrical across both sides, obviously, because the maps are symmetrical. And so when the way that this works is, you're going to have maybe player here, player here, player here, something like that, right? And each of those players has this zone around them that they can shoot with their weapon. And that creates this sort of zone that your team has across the map, which we can basically start to just combine into one big line. You control about this space, anything on this side over on the objective line. And the way that you move forward is to get players in more advanced positions. So this player maybe moves to here, and this player maybe moves up to here, and maybe you move up to here. And here, you guys now control this much space. And so you can kind of think of yourselves as moving along this line, because this arc right here is going to gradually go, and we'll delete a few of these things until we just have the line again. There we go. So if you start here from a defense, you control this, and then you control this, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then this. And once you get all the way to here, you're now scoring because you are in control of the enemy basket. And that's the way that I look at the way that a map plays out. Well, right now, you're right here, and you're on defense. You're being pushed. You're in a 2v4 situation. This is a place where you're going to need to retreat, and the other team is going to push this way on the objective line. So they're either going to come around here, or they're going to push over top mid, but in general, they're going to be moving their arc further in this direction towards your basket. And when you retreat, you end up retreating in this direction to try and get away from them. But that actually moves you further forward on the objective line. And because of that, you're going to run into enemy players sooner than if you were to move in the other direction, which puts you further backward on the objective line. So yes, there was a player here who was threatening the flank, but if you just back up to maybe like here and they come over the top, you can have charge in time to delete them because they're just a zap. They don't have that range. This is less of a threat because it's a flank route than this kind of thing is, or this kind of thing is here, because those are pretty much uncontested. And if you retreat in this direction over here, you're putting yourself further away from your teammates who are spawning back in. They're going to come from this direction, and if you run in this direction, you're running yourself away from them. So in the general case, if you're going to retreat, you want to retreat in the direction that the objective line would tell you to go. You want to go backwards in that direction. So towards your basket, towards your spawn, towards your teammates is the general idea. Now, I obviously, you don't have a map where I've drawn the objective line of every single one just yet, although that might be some content that I put out there. But some basic principles for how to figure out the objective line are, if I move in this direction, am I moving towards safety? Am I moving towards teammates? Am I moving towards where they're going to be spawning in? Am I moving towards like high ground I can use? You want to put yourself closer to all of those things instead of putting yourself closer to the enemy team as they push in. So we're going to move back to Splatoon now, and my TV turned off. That's cool. We'll be able to see soon. Oh, this is awesome. I'm warm now, and now I need to take a layer off because I'm too warm. But this is good. This is good. This is the goal. The goal was for me to not let my hands get cold. So, anyway. Sploot. And that is because Katie was coming from the direction that her team was pushing. Now, it looks like your teammates have actually come back in and started to follow up on this. Like, look at Amphi and Cherry right now. they spawned in near the basket, right? Let me just do this really quickly. So they spawned in from around the basket, and they were able to come in, and they were able to help out. And if you'd backed up in the direction of where they were coming from, that's where you would have been safe. Wesley with an insane flank. Caitlin's going to get one in, but they're going to get taken out. And so we're probably good to go back to looking at you. So the team cleans this up really well. That's a tricky position because that flank does put them pretty close to you as soon as they get over the top. You kind of need to be hitting them, like, if you're going to guard that position. Let's see what we're looking at here. Okay. So yeah, the flank on the right, the little box that Wesley's just in front of, that's something that, like, you want to have vision of, because if somebody does start to come up there, the way you beat them is by pre-firing them before they get up over the top. As soon as the zap actually gets onto the platform with you, that's when you've got trouble. Because now, they're in range, I would say. They're probably able to hit you, I would think. Man, they really do get right up on top of you there. And that isn't even necessarily a situation you lose if you're ready for it, like if you see them coming and you get your aim on first, because your weapon does splat faster than theirs does. But there, they just kind of caught you off guard. And so the big takeaway from that is to not hover around blind corners too much. Blind corners are something that short-range weapons love, because blind corners deny you the ability to hit them until they're already in range of you. So if you stay on big, wide open sight lines where you can see someone approaching you from a mile away, that's when you get to use your range advantage over them. Ain't no way you have another sweater on. There is a way. That's exactly what it was. I told you I wanted to get warm. Okay. Let's back up just a little bit. Look at this engagement. Okay. So we're moving our way out. Generally, you want to be spinning up charge once you're in a position that you want to hit stuff from. And right now, looking at the sight lines you have, your plat to the left of you, you know, where Katie got splatted over there and where Amphi is, that area is pretty clear right now. So you don't really need to be shooting at any of that. The area in front of you in mid, the way that the stage curves on your left, you only have access to, like, the right side of mid from here. It might be a good idea to move up a little further before you start charging. And the reason I say that is that when you're charging, you're moving a lot slower. So, like, right here, you've got charge, but, like, you can't move it very quickly. Like, look at how slowly the character has to move to get that over. If you get to a sight line where you can see this NZAP player coming sooner, they surprise you a little bit less. Also, as soon as a short-ranged weapon starts approaching you, you want to be backing up, because you can still hit them from further away, but they can't hit you from further away. And so as long as if you're walking, like, out of their range, that's giving you the best likelihood of winning that fight. So instead of walking towards this player as you try to splat them, you want to be walking away. So we pick up the power clam that our teammate threw to us to try and keep that alive. On the lower left of our screen, it was there for a short while. There is someone coming up to the left-hand side of you. So there's someone down there who goes down. And you can tell because the clams right behind this pillow on the left get picked up right there. You can also see a little bit of a trail where they came from. Because even though, you know, a lot of people are running Ninja Squid right now, that trail is still going to be visible in the ink anyway. Okay, it looks like they got pushed back by Wesley there. You get a pick on Caitlin, which is awesome. And you drop down to save the power clams. Okay. On most maps, What I recommend is generally not to focus too hard on saving power clams. Power clams have some very significant weaknesses that you want to weigh when you think about whether you have one. For one thing, a power clam isn't actually as efficient as just throwing in single clams. It's better than it was in Splatoon 2. In Splatoon 2, a power clam was worth 20, but 9 individual clams were worth 27. Here, it's 20 to 21. It's a negligible difference most of the time, but the bigger, more important problem with them is that they reveal you, and another factor is that you can't throw them as far. So not only do you get spotted by your opponents as you approach the basket with them, you have to approach closer to the basket when you have them to be able to throw them in. And both of those disadvantages can absolutely, make the difference between whether a push succeeds or not. Generally, what I recommend in most cases is to carry enough clams that you can very quickly make one power clam, but you only make the power clam once you get to the basket, and you do that by throwing your clams at the player who has the most. So you don't want to start, running in and scoring until that number in the upper left where it says 16 right now. Until that number is maybe like 11 or 12 or something, you probably don't want to be pushing, because you want to make sure you have enough to make a power clam, enough extra in case somebody gets splatted on the way, maybe even a few more than that in the event that somebody gets splatted, and then that way you have follow-up still after the score goes in. But once you've got those, you don't necessarily need to make a power clam to get a push started. You can just move in, try to clear out the enemy base, and then only once you actually get up to the enemy basket should you start throwing your clams at somebody else to make a power clam. If somebody's got 6 or 7, just chuck a couple in their direction. It'll make a power clam for them, and then they can just throw it right in. That's what you want to do most of the time. Now, on this particular map, in top-level play just on Sunday, we were seeing a lot of teams actually favor pushing with multiple power clams and throwing those in right away, because they didn't trust in their ability to be able to keep the basket open the way that you would on a Splatoon 2 map. They didn't think that they were going to be able to hold it open and stall it with single clams, which keep the basket open for longer. A single clam throw keeps the basket open for 3 seconds, whereas a power clam only resets it for 10. So if you have 7 individual clams, you can keep the basket open for 21 seconds, whereas a power clam can only keep it open for 10. So what people would do is throw individual clams just slowly so that they're resetting the timer over and over again and keeping it open as long as they possibly can to allow for their teammates to get more clams and score more. That's not happening on this map. So it's not actually the worst idea here in particular to have the multiple power clam approach. Just be aware that they will be able to see you as you go in. Nice, you get a double there. You can just kind of feel them closing in on you, right? You can see that they're starting to push in, and you put that booyah bomb right in a spot where they wanted to be, and so now your team's going to be able to move up. From here, you really want to be moving forward with your team, because your team is just rushing the basket right now. They're going to be there. One of them is already there scoring. And any opponents are going to be focused on your teammates moving to the basket. If you move up onto this top mid area right in front of you, you can hit that player in the back as they try to take out Amphi, and you can kind of keep the basket locked down so that your team is safe to move in. But from right here, you can't control anything that will help Amphi. You really want to be, as soon as your team has that advantage and you see your frontliners starting to move, obviously keep yourself safe as you go, but you need to be pushing upwards so that, forward on the objective line, so that you can be you can still have an impact on the match. So we do start moving. We get scared off by that player. We probably don't want to. Oh, I like the idea to throw it. Obviously misses there, and that's just, exactly what happened there. But I like the idea to throw it up there, and from here now, we want to be trying to potentially get height advantage. When you... so we try to save the power clam, and generally, my advice is never die for a power clam. Unless it's the very end of the game and you need that power clam to trigger overtime, you can always make another one. There's no shortage of clams. They spawn infinitely. You're going to be able to make another one. Your life is worth more than keeping that thing out on the map. Because what you can do if you don't go down here is make the enemy team have to think twice about whether they are safe to push forward and buy your team enough time to get back in and back you up and prevent a score. But now that you're wiped, they can do whatever they want on the map until you're back. From here, so we're jumping in and we're seeing that they're getting pretty close to a position where they can score. A really, really good habit to get into, by the way, is as you're jumping right here, you've got this beautiful bird's eye view of everything that's going on the map. And you want to already be dialed in and thinking, where are my opponents? What do I need to be doing? Because you've got this, second or so where you can see everything that's happening. And you can use that to your advantage. So as I'm coming down, I'm realizing, okay, the enemy team is making a push onto the plat in front of us, and one of them has a power clam. So they're going to be able to score very soon if I don't get charged immediately and get my aim on that spot really fast and start firing at them. So instead of, moving here, which is going to guarantee them that they have enough time to score, they're just going to run to the basket. You want to get your charge spun up and try and just face them down head on. But from here, you are in a pretty good position to fire. You got to watch out for the crab tank, obviously. And I would probably have saved the charge a little bit. You want to, as a general rule with every weapon in Splatoon, you only want to fire shots once you know those shots are going to hit. And this is also something that I practice in the lobby, in the training room. So right here, you get charge spun up. But if you fire shots now, you don't actually have anybody that you're going to be able to hit yet. And what those shots are going to do is tell this player, who happens to be sitting behind the wall with the crab tank, where you are and where they have to worry about. So if they know where you are standing, because they can just look at where your shots are coming from, now they know, where you are and what you're doing, you're committed to it, and they know how to play around it. In this case, they're able to just pop crab tank and see like, oh, hey, there's a player there, let's get rid of them. And they do that. If you hold those shots until the jump comes in and then get the jump as it lands, that player doesn't know you're there until you're able to just press ZL, get away to the left and cut the sight line and get away from the crab, having deleted a player as you've done so. So, also, especially as a backliner, consider taking one of the top left area or the top right area here. Height advantage is really good for you. What height does is it lets you see above cover. It makes it so that there are fewer things that are in the way between your line of sight and their line of sight. And while you're going to be more exposed up there because again, there's no cover, you have the longer range than anybody else does. So you're going to be able to hit them before they can hit you. And as long as you're just paying attention to what's in front of you and what could be approaching, you're going to be able to put those shots out to stop them from ever getting in range of you, as long as you've got those sight lines uninterrupted. As soon as the sight lines are interrupted, that's when you just hit a wall and all of a sudden there's an end zap right on top of you. Picking up the pity clam is a very common early mistake. So the pity clam, first of all, is this clam right here that spawns as a comeback mechanic when your basket gets scored on. Here we go. So let's spawn back in. So it's this clam right here underneath your basket. This is called a pity clam. Picking this up is usually the wrong play. And the reason that I say that is that there are a couple, actually. So I shouldn't say there's one reason. This clam will never despawn in its current state. If you just leave it there under the basket, you will always have it. It will always be there just in case. If you pick it up and you get splatted, that clam drops and goes down in 10 seconds. So you are more guaranteed to have it available if you just leave it there. Now, reasonable objection, okay, but it's not any use to us if it's right here at our base. We need it to go into the opponent's base, right? Well, what you can do, because again, like I talked about earlier, what you usually want to do in Clam Blitz is not make a power clam until you get to the enemy basket, so that you're not revealing yourself the whole time. When you do score, chances are, on the way towards scoring, someone on your team has gotten splatted. Somebody's gone down. And that player can spawn in, and then they'll be right next to the pity clam. They can grab the pity clam, super jump it to a teammate who's still at the enemy basket, and then immediately just throw it into the basket as soon as they land. Very difficult to counterplay that. You need to have a well-timed bomb right on their jump that explodes exactly as soon as they land to be able to stop them from scoring that every single time. And that's a much more guaranteed plan for using the pity clam to just get an immediate boost in your scoring. So that's usually the way that on a competitive team people are actually going to use that clam. Rather than picking it up and planning on using it to open the enemy basket, they're going to make a clam as they advance to the enemy basket, because you've got a minute and 30 seconds to do it, and again, the clams spawn infinitely. And they'll score and then go back for the pity clam, like if they get splatted or something. Another reason you might want to keep it, though, and this is probably not that reason, you know, the situation you're in right now, but especially if you're getting close to the end of the game, the pity clam will trigger overtime if it's still there. And it's really safe to keep it so that you can have it for that reason. Because even if your team wipes, you will still get your overtime because you have that pity clam there. Whereas if you die with that, it just gets deleted and goes away. So I recommend not picking this up for the reasons I described, and also just because now you have a power clam, and that gives your position away.
Question?
Yes?
So you say that pity activates overtime if it gets to the end of the match. Do we have a time limit that we have to pick it up by, or overtime ends, or...
You have a time limit for overtime in general. So even though you may have a power clam, overtime will still end once that timer runs out, despite that fact. You need a power clam active to trigger overtime, and overtime will abruptly end if that power clam despawns. So it's still important to have it just to keep the game alive at all. But you don't get an infinite overtime by just leaving it there.
Got it.
Okay. So again, I would recommend, like, whenever you can, get up onto top mid, because it just gives you angles on more things. Generally, the only places that you're going to get aggressed on, if you're on the very back side of top mid, you're either going to be able to see them and shoot them as they come, or you should have teammates who are looking at those angles that you can't see. So that's usually going to be a relatively safe place. You've just got to make sure that your teammates are defending their zones. Amphi is making a very overzealous play right here. They have no support from the rest of their team right now. Nobody's up in position to actually help with that push. And they're taking the most easily defended angle, where you can just pre-fire them and they can't even make the jump at all, and they just fall. So that's a mistake on their end, unfortunately. Not much you can do to prevent that from happening, but I like, this position on top mid isn't necessarily bad for you here. You just got to be a little bit more careful now because one of your teammates just went down, and you might be outnumbered. As you're missing these shots here, the player has moved over to the right. And so what you want to be doing as soon as they get behind cover and you know you're not going to be able to hit them on the left-hand side is fire at the right-hand side of it. You've already got the left side painted. If you paint on the right side, now they don't have anywhere to go and they have to like back up or something. But because you over-focused on the left-hand side, they actually got in range to be able to get shots on you from the right-hand side, and you pop the booyah defensively. If you're going to do a booyah bomb, you generally want to avoid right angles, like the corner that you threw it at there, because the booyah bomb is a sphere, and because of the way that a sphere is shaped, very little of the paint of the booyah bomb or the hitbox of the booyah bomb is going to hit below it, and so you're getting less value than if you threw it on a more flat surface. Its radius is going to be smaller because it has to extend downward before it's going to have an impact. Does that make sense? I can draw a little picture if you... Okay, cool. Doing some math diagrams. Good shots. Here, again, the aim is a little bit wavy. You're missing, and so you're just trying to correct in the direction that you think they're going, and then overcorrecting and going back again. Right now, the player has actually moved to the left of where you're aiming. So you'll want to, like... I think the biggest thing is just... this game is hard to see. Like, you are required by this game to pay a lot of attention to these tiny little splashes in glossy, like, single-colored ink. Like, these little differences in the shading of that ink are what let you know that somebody is running at you to try and shoot you. And so, you know, the better you get at this game, the more likely you'll be to see what direction someone moves when you're shooting in that direction. But you kind of want to work with a process of elimination. Like, you shoot at one angle, and if you're missing, you think, okay, they have to have moved either right or left. And so you try to rule out, you know, one of those two if you can. Like, oh, they couldn't move right because I have my color ink in that direction. So they would get forced to stand up out of their ink if they moved that way. So they have to move left. So now I'm going to aim to the left. And that's the way that you start to wear it down. It's not purely just like, I am going to be a mechanical god and hit every shot. It's also, by process of elimination, they have to go this way. So even though I lost track of them a little bit, I'm still going to aim that way. Thank you so much for the donation, Phantom Button. I enjoy seeing my main being reviewed. You should watch Devi as well. Devi is a Hydra main and will definitely teach you a lot of things about funny gas-powered splatling. All right, so one of your teammates got in there. So, like, take this player that you're now seeing here, for example, for talking about, like, learning how to aim at this after it loads. So you get one there, awesome. So there is this player that's a little bit weak. Those are on the backside. Where do they go? You get another one there, awesome. Okay, this tent player right here. They just fired a shot right in front of the big bubbler, and now they're swimming to your right. If you spot this, and you're already spinning up charge, what you want to do here is think, okay, they're moving to the right. Yes, they could move back to the left, but right now they're moving right, and so that's what I'm going to anticipate they want to continue doing. They're also going to move to the right because that moves them further forward on the objective line. That moves them closer to your basket and away from their own. And that's what they're trying to do now because they've just cleared their own basket and they want to move towards being able to score on yours. Well, you know where they're about to be. So what you want to do here is actually aim in front of them. Err on the side of missing them, but missing them from in front. Aim where they're about to be. Because if you miss, all that's going to happen is you're going to paint their feet. They're going to run into your ink as they swim to it, and that's going to force them up out of the ink, and now you're actually aiming right at them. So you hit them anyway. If you aim behind them, though, they just get to keep swimming forward because you're not stopping them from swimming. So in this case, aim in front of this player and start firing maybe a little bit earlier on. I think something that you might be doing, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but it seems like you're only firing once your charge is full. It seems like you're waiting until you're all the way charged up before you ever release it.
Yeah.
Generally,
I tend to do that.
you, especially the stronger your opponents get, the more often you need to just fire partial charges, because realistically, you're not going to have that many opportunities where you can stand there, rev it all the way up, and release it all the way. A lot of the time, you only need a certain number of shots to be able to splat someone, and a lot of the time, you only have a certain amount of time to charge those shots. So, in this situation, if you had started releasing your charge a little bit earlier and cut them off before they got to that pillow, they wouldn't have cover to hide behind. Now, they completely gave that cover up and ran back out into your sight line, and you splatted them anyway, so it ended up not mattering here. But what a more knowledgeable player is going to do is they're going to sit behind that pillow, they're going to wait until you're out of charge, and then they're going to move. And you've lost your opportunity to splat them that way. Whereas if you cut them off before they ever get there, even if that means you don't have quite as many shots to hit them with, that's what's more likely to get you this splat before they get behind the safety that they ran to. So there, you hit a player, the player who's up behind the pillow now, and they kept trying to move to the right. Same situation there, where you want to lead your shots on them a little bit. You want to paint up their feet so that they can't keep going. So you get this player, you throw this Booyah Bomb, and it's this charge here. So you start firing this, and you hit a player right there. You want to start training yourself to recognize when you hit someone, so that you can kind of be like, oh, that was on target, let's keep shooting at that. This player who's on the right here, the Zap, I believe, who's starting to move to the right, if you aim in front of them to the right and paint up their feet, now they can't approach you. But they got behind that pillow and actually even threw a bomb at you because they were able to get that far. So them throwing this bomb is actually a huge deal. They didn't aim it super well, but if they had put that on top of where you're standing, that just forces you out of position completely. And that's a huge deal for them being able to move up, because now you have to move someplace else, and then you have to get a good sight line, and then you have to get charge, and all of that takes a lot of time. And during that time, they're able to basically play a 4v3 against the rest of your team. So you want to make sure that people can't get close enough to you that they can do things like that to displace you. All right. So I think the NZAP starts shooting at your teammate, and you do recognize that. You just recognize it a little bit too slowly to actually shoot them for doing it. So with a little bit faster recognition, you'll be able to spot that, and you'll be able to get that pick for sure. So Amphi's going in, and that Zap player who is on the right pillow turns around. They're in your range from here, so if you aim at them and get your shots on while they're walking and shooting someplace else, you can hit them in the back here and probably splat them. And I think you recognize that, and you just don't quite get there in time. There's an ink vac there. Don't be worried too much as a Hydra about actually firing into the ink vac. Because here's what happens when a Hydra fires into the ink vac. You can get a full charge up, aim it at the ink vac, get the whole thing absorbed, and you fill it up so quickly that you get it to the point where it's about to fire its shot, and you still have charge. And the thing is, once it gets all the way filled up, it stops sucking in ink. So you fill it up, but then you get it to where it's vulnerable again, and your next shots hit it. And now it can't fire that shot before it just gets splatted by you, and then you can dodge the shot if they manage to get it off in time. So it is actually a play, especially for Hydra players individually, but even as full teams, to just fill the ink vac on purpose to get it to be vulnerable again and prevent it from holding the whole rest of the map hostage like it would otherwise. So a little bit of a movement mistake here, just like getting your head bumped, because it's spinning around and it looks like you can go up around it. This isn't a huge deal. This is the sort of thing that you'll kind of get the hang of once you know the maps a little bit more. But at this point, with this much pressure being put on you, you probably don't want to be in top mid anymore. There are multiple players on the enemy side plat here, like across the way where the tacticaler is, who are in range to hit you. The whole thing is painted purple, so you're going to have to spend some time painting it before you can do anything anyway. There's also a crab tank out on the map. There's a lot of pressure coming at your direction. And instead of trying to take this central position now that you're in the range of a lot of enemy players, you're not able to use your range advantage against them, you probably want to be backing up a little bit so that you can keep that distance in between them and you and keep abusing the fact that you outrange them. You're trying to play like, you know how in like movies the bully will like put his hand on top of the kid's head and just hold him while the kid tries to swing and punch him, but he's too short range to hit because he's smaller, and so he just misses. Bully's like taking advantage of his better wingspan. That's you as the Hydra. You're never trying to be in range of them. You're always trying to be able to hit them while they can't hit you. I do like the use of the auto bomb to collect information there. That's smart, because that'll show you, like, if someone's on the wall on either side of you, the auto bomb will walk at them, and that'll give them away. Now, from here, you definitely want to drop down, and you do not want to keep firing these shots. You don't have a great angle, and they're more maneuverable than you. Also, if they just wait out your charge, now you're stuck standing there. Be willing to, if you're in danger, abandon your charge by pressing ZL and squid forming out of this and just swimming away. Especially if they're going to try and do something like that. Oh, that's so unfortunate. You head bonk here, and so you're not going to be able to get the booyah over. Oh, man. It just happened to be a little cramped here, but be careful with Booyah Bomb that when you're popping it, you're not near large things that could block you from throwing it in the direction you want to. This is one I wasn't expecting, but I also am not a huge fan of this place for it because you've got like the pillow in the way, you've got the wall in front of you that might be in the way. It's not going to be the easiest thing to aim this. So generally, like, try to use it from a more open position than this. If you eventually get it over there, there's a player in front of you. You trade that. Oh, you're super close to being able to get this here. Nice. Okay, they stop it, and that is the game. So as time goes on, you'll learn positions to stand in that will give you advantages over players who are trying to push, especially with a power clam. Positions where you can hit them before they can hit you. Always be looking for those kinds of positions. Be thinking like, was this a place that made my weapon feel overpowered? Was this a place where they couldn't do anything about me? Because your weapon has one massive disadvantage, which is that you need to charge it to be able to fire, and other weapons don't. So in order to take advantage of your range, you need to be at full distance away from them so that even if they do start pushing into your range and you don't have charge, you have time to get charge before they get to you. That's what you're always looking for. So any sort of cover, any sort of angles that are going to prevent you from seeing things, seeing places the opponents are going to come from, over time you want to start moving away from those positions, taking those open sight lines, and having all the information that you need from them to be able to stop someone as they come up to you. So, that was a lot, but do you have any questions for me?
I do not think I do.
All right. So I would like to thank you for submitting your footage for the VOD review today. It's, you know, I always say this, but it takes a certain amount of, I think, very healthy humility to be able to be criticized in front of a whole bunch of people who are watching on stream. I appreciate the heck out of anybody who's willing to do that. And I hope you learned a lot from it.
Thank you, I did.
So thank you very much, and we'll do a little bit of Q&A here, because I said I was going to do some Q&A, and then I just stopped. So I'll go and answer some chat questions really quick, because it looks like we're only going to have the one VOD review today, so we got a little bit of extra time. Let's take a look here and see what we got. Phantom Button says, you did good. One Hydra main to another.
Thank you.
There was one question that was brought up that I was pinged about to bring up later. I don't know if the person who said it is still in chat. I'm just trying to find it. But how important is the meta in casual play? I think that'd be a good one to answer.
That is a very good question. Oops. Yeah, okay, this is still good. So the metagame is something that as you get better at the game, you will work towards coming to those conclusions naturally. The metagame is not some like artificial imposition on the game. It's something that arises from lots and lots of players with very different perspectives, very different ways of perceiving the game, very different ideas for what to try. They're all going to try their things, and they're going to see what works and what doesn't work across a very broad, representative sample of everybody who's trying to do things. And over time, they will gradually converge on this idea of how the game is played at top level, because some things work and other things don't work, and based on what works and what doesn't work, they start, honing away at what the best strategy is for winning games. So the metagame is definitely not just something that's completely made up and doesn't matter for anybody, but the metagame also, as you get better and better, it factors in the player's skill level. That is something that matters. So, for example, you could say that there is a separate metagame in C rank than there is at top level, because in C rank, you're going to win more often on weapons that you don't have to aim as carefully. A bamboozler, the main weapon is fine, but if you can't aim that thing to save your life, then it's not going to be useful to you. And so early on, the metagame that is seen at top level doesn't really apply to very, very brand new players. But the thing is, if those brand new players are really interested in improving at the game, they are going to eventually come to see with, as they level up, that, oh, hey, this weapon does work really well. And now I'm good enough to actually use it in a way that works really well. Because a competitive level player using a meta weapon is going to beat anything that a lower level player does, but it's definitely going to work better once you're able to use it against people at your level of skill. So if somebody is playing C rank meta against you while you are, an S+ level player now, you're going to be able to beat that even if you and that other player are at a similar mechanical level, because now you've unlocked the ability to use that weapon in a way that's more impactful than their weapon is. So the meta is something that, you will see a lot of very bold claims being made about. You will see a lot of people make, overgeneralizations about it, because it's fun to feel like you've solved the secrets of Splatoon. You know everything there is to know about the game, and you can simplify it in one pithy statement that works very well on Twitter and gets you a lot of clout. But the game, in reality, is very nuanced, and so you have to take any claim that somebody's making about the metagame with a grain of salt. Even my own. I am not a top-level player. There are some things that a lot of top-level players would disagree with, I would imagine, that I say. On my tier list, Pro Chara came in, and he was like, I like this list overall, but there are a few things that I would change about it, And looking at it, I'm like, yeah, I can totally see why you would want to make those changes. So you want to get a very broad diet of information about the game to really know what the metagame even is. But over time, as you become a stronger player, you will gravitate towards the things that are in the meta. Or if you find something that's out of the meta that works, maybe you and your team will actually be able to show it off and it becomes the meta. The way I recommend that a lower level player use it, though, to get back to the spirit of the question, I think, what I would do is I would decide, what weapons do I like to play first? What is fun for me? Not like, what am I not playing because it's mechanically too difficult for me, but like, if you want to play chargers from day one, play chargers from day one. It's going to be hard. You're going to miss a lot of shots. You're going to feel like you're not being useful at first. But if that's what's fun for you, play it. But then as time goes on, whatever it is you decide that you enjoy playing, then look at the meta and think, okay, I'm starting to get a little bit more serious about this game, and I want to see what's actually going to work for me as I try to win games more. And maybe in the meta, there is a version of this playstyle that I'm playing right now that is going to be better than the one that I'm using in the long run. So for example, let's say in Splatoon 2, you were a big fan of the Gloogadoolies and all you did with them was farm for armor. The Kensa Gloogadoolies. And you were just trying to get as many armors out as possible. And then you looked at the metagame, you looked at, a tier list or something, and you realized, oh, everyone's playing NZAP for armor instead of the Kensa Gloogadoolies. Why are they doing that? And then you try out the NZAP and realize that weapon paints for armor faster than the Gloogadoolies do, and you're like, oh, well, this just fits my playstyle entirely better. And that's exactly what happened to me, actually, that sort of thing. I started off in Splatoon 2 playing the NZAP 85, but I was playing it extremely aggressively. And I learned from looking at a tier list, oh, wait, the 10-attack splatter shot is what's in the meta right now, and it splats faster than my weapon does. And it also has a kit that supports aggression better than the NZAPs does. So it just makes a lot of sense for me to keep playing the way that I've been playing, but do that on a different weapon. And that's what I would probably recommend. This is why I picked up Flingza as a splat roller main. Exactly. The splat roller will fall off a little bit because it's short range, and if people are painting smartly for it, they'll probably catch it a lot of the time. It's hard to be stealthy with that weapon. The Flingza doesn't have to be stealthy because it gets missiles the entire time that it's standing there not able to do things. And it does eventually get to do things, but after it's popped the most useful special in the game, and also painted a lot. What rank am I in? I think right now I'm like S plus 11 or something. I've been playing more competitively than I have. Like there are people, on my teams and stuff who are already like S plus 50. I'm definitely playing less than them. There we go. Is there anything? Huh. Oh, okay, never mind. That's not something that I need to read for question's sake. What do you prefer about the Vanilla Blaster over the other blasters? Good question. It has a faster fire rate than the Range Blaster, which makes it a more aggressive weapon, which is more suited to my playstyle. I'm not as strong with weapons that you have to position very patiently with in the midline. I tend to initiate fights, and that's what I like to do when I play the game. So I try to play more of the frontline blasters, and that's why Range Blaster's out. Range Blaster is probably the best blaster in the game right now, but that's why I don't play that one. I think Big Bubbler is a very strong special, both aggressively and supportively. And so being able to pull it out on tower control, which is where you're most likely to have a blaster anyway, is really, really nice. So that's why I like, say, Vanilla Blaster over like Luna Blaster, because I think Zipcaster might be stronger than I think it is, but it's very hard, and it's a very vulnerable special. It's something you have to use very carefully. Also, the Luna Blaster has less range than the Vanilla Blaster is, and I trust my aim enough to not need the extended blast radius to be able to hit stuff. Rapid blasters are a completely different beast. They play entirely differently than any of those one-shot blasters I've described. And they are, again, midline zoning weapons, which is why I don't go for those. The NZAP in this game is a Tacticooler farmer. And I don't think Tacticooler is a good special for it at all. Tacticooler has some niche uses, but I would say like 90% of the time, I think it is a liability to have a Tacticooler buff. You are actually less likely to win a fight having the Tacticooler than you are with something else. How should I be using my ink mines as an E-leader? Try to cover flanks, but I feel like they never cover me from sploosh and such. Part of that is you want to put them in choke points. The most likely choke points where people are going to come from. And maybe what you do is like use 2 mines to cover one flank and then just watch the other with your eyes. What would you consider the range threshold between frontline, midline, backline? Like is Dooley Squelcher's backline? No. Dooley Squelcher's is probably the longest range, I would say, for midline. Rapid Pro is like this... It's very, very close to being an anchor, but it's not quite there. So that's a pretty good, like, borderline, like, a gatekeeper sort of weapon for between midline and backline. And then between midline and frontline, you're probably looking at, like, the 52 gal. 52 gal is probably the longest ranged frontline weapon in the game. Fine. Do Tetradualies have longer range than the 52? If they do, then they would be the longest ranged. The VOD reviews happened already. Yeah, we only had one, and so we're just doing some Q&A right now. Best positioning for the 52 gal. Not sure if it's more of a mid or frontline weapon. Can it go against 1v1s? Yes. So the 52 uses its wall to win 1v1s. It has a really, really fast time to kill. And so if you just sit inside your wall and you're in range of someone, they need to move back. They cannot stay there. There's just about no weapon in the game that can fight you in that position. And so what you do is you put the wall out and you paint up in front of the wall so that you have all of that area under control and they can't do anything about you taking it. And then as soon as the wall goes down and you have the opportunity, you just move up, put a wall further forward, and do the same thing. And you just keep taking that space until they decide to fight you. And if they decide to fight you, you should be able to win because you have a wall. Just be very careful not to push up too fast, because what happens a lot at early levels with 52 is you throw the wall out, and then you want to move forward faster than you're safely able to. You swim in front of the wall, someone just throws a bomb off the wall and spots you right away. So as an NZAP main, what is the weapon to switch to so I am no longer a liability? You're not a liability to the team. Like, the Tacticooler, the problem with Tacticooler in a lot of cases is that it reveals the player. They don't necessarily need to take the Tacticooler juice if they don't want it. But revealing themselves is a significant risk. What you want to be doing with support right now, if you're trying to play like the top level meta comp, is Splattershot Junior or Splash-O-Matic. Crab is a really versatile, useful special that gives you, it basically turns you into a backliner for no reason. It like turns you into a Hydra that never has to charge, you know? That sort of idea. I don't know. It kind of does have to charge. I guess it's very similar to a Hydra in that respect. Hydra plus an Explo. And then Junior, which gets the Big Bubbler. Both of those are going to paint a lot and get their special and go in with their special. And that's kind of how that's going to work. You will be fighting a lot more with those weapons than you used to have to with other sport weapons, which is cool and is good for the game. What about Squeezer? If Squeezer is longer range than Dooley Squelchers, then yeah, sure. They count too. How'd you go about using a Nautilus in ranked? Nautilus is an aggressive weapon that got a non-aggressive kit, so it's very mismatched right now. It's kind of being played right now like a pseudo-anchor, like a weapon that is playing similarly to an anchor, just from further forward. When can we expect to see call-out guys for Splatoon 3? I have word from FLC that somebody is working on it, but that seemed pretty vague, and I don't know. hopefully soon, because I would very much like to have them, and I don't see a reason why we need to be putting it off. So, we'll see. Can I see your gear for the blaster? I don't have gear farmed perfectly for it. Any build questions, I will refer to you immediately to sendu.inc/builds, which I have just posted in chat. Splash or Sploosh-o-matic? Splash. Sploosh-o-matic, I think its kit is poorly matched to it right now, because it's probably, you know, one of the best users of Curling Bomb in the game, but the problem is it doesn't have any long-range poke at all. It has to be right on top of you to splat you. So, at a high level of play, people just aren't going to let you get there. They're going to see the Curling Bomb, they're going to shoot into the Curling Bomb, and now it's like, great, how do I approach this person? Frontline, midline, backline is very much just a question of how much range the main weapon has. Like, the Junior plays further back usually than the NZAP will, even though the Junior has shorter range. But in most cases, it's just how long-ranged is this weapon? And the Zap plays very much like a splatter shot when it's taking fights. It's very up close, in your face, very maneuverable, and very fast kill time. You like playing Glugas, already tried 52, not the biggest fan. 52 is what I was going to recommend. If you're looking for more of a midline weapon, maybe something like a range blaster, or I can't in good conscience recommend Pro right now. Nautilus I feel like is going to be good if you want to play kind of aggressively. And I fingers crossed that it gets a good kit eventually. There are going to be new kits pretty soon. Getting used to the weapon now couldn't hurt, even though the kit itself isn't great for it. Maybe Mini, I guess. General tips for Bamboo. Learn aim good. The Bamboo is basically a brick wall as long as you can aim well enough with it. You stand in a position and you have pretty darn long range, and it's kind of hard for someone to push into you at all if you can hit your 2 shots, which you can do pretty quickly. You think Splash can work for a Slayer? Absolutely. The Splash is, I would say, a Slayer support hybrid. It is far more aggressive a kit and far better a main weapon for aggressive play than something like a Junior. The Burst Bomb lets it poke people from a really long distance, and faster than the Splat Bomb will, although the Splat Bomb's very good for that. And more importantly, the accuracy makes it so that, like, you can jump over the top of a ledge, peek over the top of it, hit your 4 shots, and then fall and splat someone with that. That's just not something that's happening with a Junior. Any tips for splatter scope I've been trying to learn? The advice is pretty much the same that I would give any backliner, which is make sure that you are having an impact. A lot of backliners are really good at keeping themselves safe, but they don't pay enough attention to the game state to know, oh, wait, I can move forward and actually hit more things from there, and I'm still not going to get shot for doing that. I think there will be a Nautilus 96 in S3 soon. I don't know what elemental number that is, what metal it would be made out of if it was a 96, but I definitely hope that it gets another kit because it needs one. How long does overtime last in Clam Blitz? I know that there's... If you just look it up on Splatoon Wiki, they'll have how long it is exactly. I don't know what that number is off the top of my head. 20 seconds, maybe? Is it worth just trying to unlock all slots on each gear, or stick with your main to farm for chunks? I would say if the gear has a main you are never going to use, don't bother wasting any resources on it. But you never know what is going to come into the meta. It's always useful to have more like Ninja Squid gear to have more like LDE gear, more stealth jump gear, just because there's so many weapons that use that. So any of those things, I would definitely have the slots unlocked for it. But like, if it's got a main of sub resistance, I don't see anyone ever running a main of sub resistance. So I don't even have my catcher's mask because that has sub resistance on it. Curium, I don't think it would be a great material for a gun since it's radioactive. Yeah, if your weapon is going to decay radioactively while you're using it, you probably don't want to be holding that. Ask for tips on learning sloshers better. For those who don't know what we're talking about, the Nautiluses are named. The numbers afterwards are named for the elements that the weapon is made out of. You can even see in Splatoon 2, the different colors of Nautilus are different because they're made of those different metals. So just look up like what it is on the periodic table, and you'll see. Yeah, copper Nautilus maybe. I don't know. Tips on learning sloshers better. Can only play tri-slosher, having a hard time moving to more traditional range sloshers. They are extremely different weapons. The tri-slosher is much less aim intensive and much shorter range and much more aggressive. The tri-slosher, its challenge is getting into range stealthily. If it can get into range stealthily, it can win the fight for sure. The other sloshers, they play more to kite or to abuse level geometry. Obviously, you can do that a little bit with the tri-slosher, but even like a medium-sized piece of cover, like something like this, if I'm on this end with a tri-slosher trying to hit over the other end, that's about as far as I'm getting it. I don't even clear all the way across. Whereas this is a prime position for something like the vanilla slosher to go like that and hit someone. You see that has that huge hit right here. So you're going to use this a lot more to like deal with backliners, for example, doing this sort of thing. This isn't something that you can often do on a tri-slosher, at least not from that range. You need to be like right underneath a ledge, and it needs to be a fairly short ledge to be able to hit stuff like that. And you need to be pretty close to it. So they are very different weapons. Like you're not wrong. With the regular slosher, it's important to always keep your opponent at your max range. You never want to be any closer or any further away, and you want to try and keep that distance as much as you possibly can. With this slosher, it's going to be a little bit harder to hit shots because the hitbox isn't as big. But one thing that can help you is the fact that you can curve your shots. So this is what it looks like normally, but look at that. Each one of these shots is a different hitbox. And so as long as the opponent was at least like this close, one of these things anywhere along this arc is going to hit them. So I can like take this dummy right here and be aiming way off and just if I actually do it. Let me clean up so that this is more visually obvious. Oh my goodness, Gem. You're making it look hard. There.
Hey, Gem, your face cam died.
Cool! I love that that's a regular thing that happens on all of my streams now. Thank you, OBS, for that beautiful update that broke it.
Hey, look, at least it's not shutting down at midnight yet. We got time.
There we go. And now we just have to redo all of the settings so that I don't look like a ghost. I am a ghost, but I don't want to look like one. It's bad optics. Okay. So, as I'm firing shots with the slosher, and I realize, oh wait, I might be a little bit off with my aim, I just move while I'm in the middle of the shot, and I cover a wider area, and that can help me make minor adjustments when I realize that I'm not going to hit the shot. So you can do, you know, practice this sort of thing as you're doing your aim training. Because too extreme of one, and you might put yourself in a position where it's too short range. Because if you look at this, like, the distance, let's say I'm aiming at someone who's over here. Like, maybe someone who's, like, right here. From here, I totally have range to hit that. But because I curved the shot, it might not go far enough. So you don't want to, like, curve it too extremely unless, like, you get surprised from behind or something. But you can definitely curve the bullets just a little bit here and there. Thank you so much for the super chat, Kaichu. That's very kind of you. And they didn't send a message. All right. Should I go for the less defended tower in Rainmaker? So here's the thing about Rainmaker. I would love for there to be this crazy meta based around, like, okay, so you want to react to the defense that your enemies are showing you and only go in the direction that's less defended. Like, that'd be this neat tactical thing to be able to do in that mode. But a lot of the time, it takes the defenders less time to rotate from one defensive position to another than it takes the attacking team. The only time that you have as an advantage as the attacking team most of the time, the way the maps are designed, is the reaction time. Like, they need to not notice in order for one of those rotations to work. And the stronger the players get, the less often you're going to be able to just get by on people not noticing that the Rainmaker is going someplace. Because the Rainmaker is always on your screen. That like, anchor icon shows you where it's going. There are very few times it's hidden. So you're not going to pull one over on players at a certain point. And you're going to have to just go the way that your team can brute force the best. Or go, ideally, when the opposing team is at a disadvantage, and if they choose to fight you, you will win that fight. That's really what you're hoping for. He, him pronouns, Ivy Sanders. Ate your message? What was your message, Kaichu? You can just normal chat it. It's still super. It's borrowing the super from the super chat, I guess. Always find myself dying disproportionately more in tower control, trying to figure out why. There are too many things that could be going on for me to be able to answer that out of just a chat message. Sorry. How do I avoid tilt or rage? It's been quite the issue. Tried all sorts of tricks. This is very important and not the easiest question. That requires you to be pretty introspective and aware of how your brain really works. Not how you think it works, but how it really does. But my thought that my theory that I have been mulling over is the idea that tilt usually comes from a lack of humility, a lack of being willing to accept that something that went wrong was your fault. Because a lot of the time, it's like we play the blame game, right? My teammates did that wrong. Like, I've got all these feeding teammates. Oh my god. And what I've found is that those sorts of that sort of self-talk, those things that you say in your head, even if you don't notice that you said them in your head because they're such a habit, but you said them anyway, when you start saying those things, you're taking responsibility away from yourself, from what happened, which will make it so that you are not criticizing yourself when you do mess something up. You're allowing yourself a free pass to do something that is ineffective, which will eventually lead to, you know, you playing worse because you're just not taking responsibility for something that you did wrong. You're just expecting your teammates to carry you the whole way, basically. And so you will start making mistakes, and whereas in a more, you know, sober, reflective mood, you will notice those mistakes and take measures to correct them. When you're angry, you don't. When you're angry, it's somebody else's fault. And so you never actually learn from anything. And it's that lack of learning that is the real problem, I think, with the anger. Obviously, you know, it makes you off-putting to others. It makes you more likely to not get to play with that person a second time because they're like, I don't know, I don't enjoy playing with someone when they're like that. But the real, I think, disadvantage of it is just that you're not allowing yourself to learn. And that's because you're not doing the psychologically uncomfortable thing of admitting that something that you did was the problem. How can you tell if a loss is your fault if you got the top stats? That comes down to your knowledge of the game. And, like, if you're not sure, it can be good to get somebody else's perspective. Like, hey, was there something I could have done better here? Or is this, like, on my team? VOD reviewing can help if you really trust your perspective in a VOD review. And I also do find that no matter how used you are to VOD reviewing, you know, no matter how experienced you are at that, just slowing the video down and watching it without having to make decisions and being able to just look at the decisions being made always gives you a better perspective than you're going to have in the moment. How many mains should a player have? Also a very good question. So there's a balance you want to strike. You don't want to play every weapon in the game because you will never get particularly good at any of those weapons. These weapons are hard. They take time to learn, every single one of them. No matter how brain dead someone on the internet tells you they are to play, they will take a lot of time to learn. And that time investment, you know, if you spend it all on one weapon, you're going to get really good at that weapon. The problem is that that weapon may not be in the meta, or that weapon may not work with your team comp. And if you only focus on one weapon and you never have anything you can adapt, you will end up in a position where that one weapon, you know, that thing you're one-tricking just isn't the best thing you could be doing. So what I recommend is have maybe 3 or 4 different weapons that are very similar to the one that you play. So for me, I have the splatter shot, I have the splash-o-matic, and then I have, like, the blaster, which is a bit different, but it positions very similarly to the splatter shot. And I keep both of these two practiced up. I wouldn't go for more than 2 weapon classes, probably, just because that's just a lot of mechanical differences. But there are people, you know, the better your game knowledge gets, and the more practice you have with everything, the more you're going to be able to switch from one thing to another. Taking frequent breaks when I notice that I've been getting angry, so it doesn't help me to play better and I get more tilted. Yeah. Chara's advice, which I keep repeating because I think it's good, is if you lose more than 3 games in a row, if you lose 3 games in a row, you immediately, just unconditionally take a break, regardless of how you think you feel, and take 10 minutes off. And then after those 10 minutes, now that you've had time to cool off if you were potentially tilting, you now have a better perspective on whether you actually were tilting or not. Because a lot of the time, people get into that state of mind without realizing it. They don't know their tells. They're not aware yet that, like, oh, when I start talking in that tone of voice to myself, when I start thinking that about my teammates, like, it has already happened and I missed it. So that can be a good kind of catch-all way to spot, like, okay, is this really just that I had 3 tough games? Or is it that I'm in a very bad mood right now and I'm not allowing myself to be aware of it? How do I improve my aim? I have a whole video on that, Moonshroom, on YouTube. It's called Learning Motion Controls. Would recommend checking that out. I show all of my aim drills. Can we watch you play around? Sure, I can do one. I'm getting a little bit hungry, so I'm probably going to stop pretty soon. But I'm happy to oblige. Tower, Eel Tail, a museum. Yeah, we'll just run it. Major issues with anxiety and tilt in other games. I've started talking to a therapist. Got cognitive behavioral therapy related to that. Would encourage others to do so if it's a serious problem. Yeah, there you go. I do believe personally, as someone who has studied psychology to an extent in cognitive behavioral therapy, I think it's a very positive thing for a lot of people to go through. It just gives you a better mindfulness of your mental states, you know? It's the kind of thing that will actually help you learn when you are tilting and to be more honest with yourself about how you actually feel about things. Yeah, go for it, Kaichu. Sorry I missed you. Got a position in a team? Let's go, Bread King. Good stuff. Alright. Double roller and heavy. And sploosh. There are going to be so many flankers here. As long as we paint, though, I don't think they can do much to push us. Okay, why are we not forcing the tower away? Like, they're not doing anything to stop us from getting close to it, but we're not shooting at them. I can only shoot at one angle, and they can hide from that. So I need some support to be able to take care of that. I don't want to spam or anything. No, absolutely, like, let me know what that question was, because, like, it should have gone through with the super chat, and I definitely would have seen it if it was on the super chat. One of the nice things is that, like, I've got the sound cues set up so that I don't miss those, but since the sound cue isn't playing anymore because the super chat already happened, it's not, like, working within that system. How did that not hit? Oh my goodness. That's one of them down. That's 2 of them down. Yeah, great. I'm probably dead. They should have hit that. No shot. That roller should have missed. Nice. Asking how to know what to look for when I watch my own replays, because everyone says to watch them. Oh, yeah, that is a good question. So, one really, really useful thing, especially for more aggressive weapons, but really any weapon in general, is look at when you get splatted. And then back up 10 seconds and think, what did I just do that led to me being splatted. And as long as you come up with good answers to that question that aren't just teammate blaming, that aren't, you know, based on an imperfect understanding of the game, you should be in pretty good shape for, like, starting to learn about and correct those issues. Another really good thing to think about is you play the replay for a bit, and then you pause and close your eyes and think, right now, at this moment, do I know where my teammates are? Do I know what numbers advantage we have? Do I know, you know, where the enemy players are that I need to worry about? Like, test your awareness, quiz yourself. Because a lot of the time what'll happen is, like, you'll get into a position, you'll stop, and you'll be like, I don't even know if I should be walking forward or backward right now, because I don't know how many players are up and down. Replays really give me perspective. Usually I'm out in the open without knowing, so I really need to work on awareness in that way. Yeah, there you go. That was something that I've struggled with too. Like, I'll catch myself being like, wait a minute, I have no cover right now. There's nothing stopping anyone from seeing where I'm at. Like, it's... You learn eventually to kind of... Oh, something else that's actually huge is when you get splatted, now you have the ability with your replay codes to go and look at your opponent's perspective. So, like, something that really taught me about how I was taking too obvious of positions was when I was looking at somebody else's perspective on a tournament stream where it was showing somebody who splatted me. And I was like, wait, that's what I look like? I shoot players who move like that all the time. That was way too obvious, you know? So seeing it from their perspective can really make it click, like, oh, wait, I know why this is bad, because I've shot people for doing this before. So that's something that really helped me that I can recommend. No, I rarely know what the numbers advantage is or where my teammates are, especially when not backlining. Yeah, backlining, it gets a little bit easier. And backliners, that's why backliners get just a little bit more annoyed about that thing sometimes, where, like, because, like, they haven't been up on the front lines and realized, like, okay, like, if I'm a backliner and these three fellas right here are my teammates, I'm going to be standing back here. I'm going to see them. I'm going to be like, wow, I could easily tell that was a dumb idea. But they are right here. They cannot see anything from this camera angle about what their teammates are doing. So, like, if all three of these teammates were to back up away from me right now, I would have no knowledge of that until I, like, opened my map, which is not this. That's the X menu. But so that's something that I think, like, backliners struggle with until they've had to play frontline a little bit. But it's also something that comes a little bit more intuitively to them because they're able to observe passively without having to be making those decisions at the same time. First time viewer here, honestly love your work, fairly informative for newer. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Kaichu. It all just comes from experience. Like, I have played this game for about 6,000 hours. So, there are some things I've picked up. And it's a great thing, it's a great feeling to be able to pass those things on so that it doesn't take other people 6,000 hours to learn them. So maybe they can learn them in 1,000. And then our players get better. And I get more practice partners. And everybody's happy doing it. And then our esports scene gets bigger, and Nintendo still doesn't support it, so it grows really slowly. But hey, Melee pulled it off, so maybe we can too. That's the business model right now. All right. Is listening to your own music... Oh, I wanted to answer that question because that was actually a really good question too. There's actually been research on the subject of whether you should be playing music in the middle of it. So music can be a distraction is the biggest issue with music. So if you're going to listen to music, you want to limit that distraction as much as possible in a few ways. One of those is to avoid very melodic music, especially with lyrics, because lyrics trigger the information processing parts of our brains, some of which we need for just play Squid Game good. Like, we need to be actively thinking about those lyrics, and even subconsciously, that can distract us from using our subconscious mind to work on the tasks that we need to for Woomy Game. May also impact our ability to detect audio cues, and audio cues are really important in this game. Like, if you hear the sound of shots whizzing by your head and you're not responding to that quickly, or if you're missing the fact that you hit someone as you're painting an area, that can literally mean the difference between whether you splat someone or not. So that's also an issue. But let's say you've got them mixed well enough so that you can hear game sound and also hear the music. The other thing you want to do is have it be exactly the same music every time while you're practicing. Because then it becomes a habitual thing. It becomes something that gets you into your rhythm. It's a resetting mechanism. It's something where, like, you play this, and you know that by about this point in the match, you're going to be at this point in the song. And it's just, like, become a part of playing the game for you. Then it can help, actually, with, like, recall tasks, with, like, recognition, because you're always in the same part in the song at the same part in the game, and you can start making associations between what's happening in the music and what you should be trying to do in the game. Things like that actually do become pretty useful. So there is a way to make it actually an advantage, but it's very specific and probably not the way that most people would listen to their music. There's a bloop bloop when someone's sharking. Yes, listen to this. That's happening whether you're moving, whether you're sitting still, and opponents can hear that. In-game music is already kind of built like that. Yeah, that's not wrong. Maybe I need to turn the volume up a little bit, but there is a sound. And I don't know, maybe it doesn't play it when it's you. I'm gonna turn the TV volume way up so that I can hear it for myself. Bloop, 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 bloop. Yeah, there's definitely a bubbling sound playing. Doesn't Rumble help with registering hits? I think Rumble only triggers on a splat. Yeah, the first two shots, there's no Rumble. And it's only when I get the splat that it's actually giving me a little buzz. What are your thoughts on flex players? I personally use 52 and Splat Charger as mains, but should I focus on just one of those or those play styles, or can flexing be okay? Flexing can work as long as you're not flexing too many different things. If you have like 8 mains, you're gonna have problems with being consistent on any one of those at the level that you're capable of playing. But I know someone who had pretty good success as a 2-trick with E-Leader and Octobrush. Those were the 2 weapons that they played. And it worked out. And generally, what happens in those situations is you have specific map modes where you would play one over the other. And so every time you're playing that one map mode, you're only playing that one weapon. You're not trying to play both of them on that same map mode. So, like, your Inkblot Zones weapon is always your Inkblot Zones weapon. And it's almost as if you are one-tricking it, because that's the only weapon you will ever play on that map mode. That I can totally see. Distracted me by being emotional? Yeah. Like, if you get too engaged with the music, which is what a lot of people want to be able to do when they play music, a lot of the time, they're just not going to pay as much attention to the thing, which is why I'm always skeptical about, like, as a teacher, letting kids play music in class. I'm like, there are some kids I would absolutely trust, because they're you know, trying to get work done, and they're probably going to play, like, some quiet piano music or something, you know, something that's not going to distract them too much. And there's some kids who are going to just play their favorite song over and over again, and it's not going to be a problem. But then there's some kids who are just going to be rocking back in their chair, like, bopping their head, and they have absolutely no memory, no recollection that there is, in fact, a piece of homework in front of them that they will have to do at home if they don't do now. So, it definitely depends on the person. I personally don't like using music because I do find it too distracting. I tend to fixate really hard on music. Like, some of you might have seen the tweet I made about the Squiddy Holly remix that Mula Mixtape put on, and, you know, I played it on the last stream. I must have listened to that song by now at least 30 times. Like, that is just... It gets ingrained in my head, and I just have to hear more of it. So, for me, that would take up so much mental real estate that I wouldn't want to do it. I would want to, you know, keep my head in the game and only hear my teammates' call-outs. That's another thing that kind of interferes with that at a competitive level. You start to have to worry about, can I hear my teammates' call-outs, in addition to can I hear game sound, and can I hear my music? And that's just so many audio streams that probably not going to work out. Not for this game. For Melee, I have played Super Smash Bros. Melee competitively for 14 years, for those who don't know. And for Melee, it's much more of a thing, because Melee is a very personal sort of sport. Like, you're in your own head, and the only way you're communicating with your opponent is through your picks and bans, through the fist bump you give them at the beginning of the match, and then through your gameplay. Like, even when you're playing friendlies with someone at someone's house and just hanging out, it's very rare that people even say anything. It's just a very silent game, and you're in your own head the whole time. And that's something where I think music can really help a lot of people emotionally regulate. It can also get people into a groove with their consistency, with their technical skill. I think there's a much better argument for playing music in Melee than there is in a team game like Splatoon. Is there a place to go to learn how to play more niche weapons? There's usually somebody who's pushing a weapon, no matter how bad it is. Or at least, like, somebody who plays a similar class of weapon who can tell you some stuff about it. But the best way you can learn, especially when there aren't that many resources about it, is play it yourself. Get into a competitive match. Do it. See what you can work around it. Experiment. Mess around. Play the game. Play, experiment, mess with, like a kid playing with Legos or something. Just put things together and see how they break down, and maybe you'll find something out that way. What do you think, L3 versus H3? Kits alone make that no contest. H3 way underneath L3. L3 gets Crab Tank, H3 gets Tacticooler. Their subs are both pretty weak for them, honestly. I'd honestly probably prefer having the point sensor. But I'd also much rather have a Crab Tank. And the L3 farms for that Crab Tank pretty quick. I think L3 is massively underrated right now. but that it is still somewhat outclassed by a Splash-O-Matic. So you're not going to see it very often. Does Melee have some noticeable sound cues? Only no Melee by association. Yeah, I mean, sound is really important. It can show you things like, did someone double jump? It can do things like let you know whether a combo confirmed or not. And it also just gives you information on the opponent's movement, because like something like wave dashing, there's a sound effect for an air dodge, which is how you initiate that. So you can know if someone is dash dancing or if they decided to wave dash instead. So there's a lot of useful stuff for that. It can also help for when someone's off screen, knowing like what recovery options they're picking. Say, what if I wanted to play Undercover Umbrella in comp? You're gonna get a lot of people who aren't willing to play with that, because it's hard to play around. But you're gonna want to be a skirmisher. You're gonna want to go in with your frontliner and help them with fights. Do you recommend competitive PUGs to learn new weapons? I think pickup games, I think is what that is. Do you think Anarchy Open is better? So for learning new weapons, it depends on... Okay. The problem with learning the new weapon outside of a competitive context is that you're not going to be having to practice callouts with it. But I think that's actually a pretty good thing, because that takes one aspect out of the game for you to worry about, and you're able to focus on the mechanical aspects, which is what you will really be new at doing. So while it won't be as good of a test, you can still get a good enough simulacrum of competitive play from playing Anarchy Open to just, like, try it out, see how it works against different weapon comps, and then maybe you bring it into competitive play once you've got a little bit of practice on it. I was a Marth main in Melee. And in PM. Long live Project M. One of my favorite gaming communities of all time. Did you ever go back to check out Splatoon 2? Splatoon 1? Yes, once. I've played that game for 2 hours. But I did get to see the beauty that is Salt Spray Rig. Legit can't see half the time. Yeah, there's a lot of... I love the phrase coined by Girlfriend Reviews, diarrhea Christmas lights, to describe visual design of a game that is so overwrought that it just clouds the screen and makes it very difficult for new players to understand what's going on. Marvel is very much that. Not that any of the veteran players would care that much, but fighting games are already pretty difficult to get into. Would you consider running Intensify and Splattershot? Yes. I like being able to jump shot reliably. I like the ability that the Splash-O-Matic has to not care about the fact that it's airborne when it's shooting. Because, like, that is really, really good. Being able to do that reliably on a backliner is often the only shot you are going to have as a frontliner of getting picks. But if my shots are going awry, like they just did, I'm out of luck. So some amount of Intensify is nice, if you can fit it into your gear, which is a question mark for sure, because there are a lot of gear perks that are just overwhelmingly powerful right now that you can't necessarily ignore. Can I play a bit more offensive than Hydra? Can you play a bit more offensive on Hydra, or, like, than Hydra? Because, like... So Hydra can take some actually pretty impressively aggressive positions. Hydra can flank. That's actually not a bad thing for a Hydra to do a lot of the time, especially when it's going to be pinned down by an E-leader if it just takes traditional positions. Or if it's in a double backline comp and has to play more aggressive to compensate. So there are some times where you can just frontline with that thing. But it's very situational when you want to be doing that. Hey, what's optimal to run on shooters like Shot? Is it just 2 subs? I have not messed with it too much. I haven't really checked out what feels good to me. I don't think I'm running any right now. Yeah, I'm not. And this brings me up to about, like, Aerospray sort of accuracy at its worst. Let's see what it's like when I put on 2 mains. Okay. So this is barely changing it at all. So 2 mains is about the highest I would ever go with anything. I think even on a blaster, like, 2 mains is enough. And you don't want to dedicate too much more of your gear to that. It's still going to be a little random, though. So I don't think 2 mains is probably worth it, especially since I'm giving up something like Stealth Jump for that. So let's look at what 1 main looks like. That's still significantly better. I probably wouldn't go past 1 main. See if I would go even lower. Do I have anything with 2? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. This is still looking awfully Aerospray to me. I'd say if you're gonna run it, maybe like a main or like 3 subs or something. Because this feels significantly worse. Like, look at that. That's pretty bad. I'd say like 1 main is probably the sweet spot if you're gonna run it. Do you think Small Fry would be a viable bomb in multiplayer? Probably not. If you hit someone with it, like... How does Small Fry work? Does it just sit on someone until it kills them? Is that how that happens? It seems like the enemies can shake it off sometimes. And if that's a thing, then as long as you can shake it off, it's definitely pretty weak. If you can't shake it off and it's just a guaranteed splat, okay, yeah, that's kind of dumb. And I don't want that in the game. So I don't want it in the game either way, is the conclusion I'm coming to here. Like, I don't care about finding something buried in the ground of ink blot while I'm getting pushed on tower control. So you wouldn't have a bomb for a minute? Yeah, nope. Absolutely not. Maybe if you could get it without having to use any ink, that would be a good trade-off. That's at least something. Alright, well, I've stayed, like, way longer than I intended to anyway. I am gonna go... Thank you, everybody, for watching. Let me post my links really quickly. I have a whole bunch of stuff there. There's a TikTok, where I post content to regularly. There's YouTube, which is the main channel. There's Twitch. There's Twitter. We have a Discord server. We also have a Patreon and a Metafy account, because, again, I am doing this full-time, and so that support is, in part, what is helping me to be able to support myself. So if any of that sounds to be of interest to you, Metafy is private coaching, in case you didn't know. Then you can check that out there, but I am going to go and raid Undershirt Man. Looks like they're playing some Salmon Run. So let's go say school's out, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful night. I don't know what I'm eating yet. I'll figure it out after I hit raid. Raid!